Okay.
Okay, we are rolling.
All right. We are now in session. The Public and Policy Committee meeting for February 4th, 2019, City Hall Room 207 is now in session. It's 5:30. Roll call. Alder Stevens.
Here.
Alder Vanderleest.
Here.
Alder Stoyer.
Here.
Alder Randy here. For the agenda, I'd like to make a motion, well, let's approve it first, and then we can amend as
Approve the agenda.
motion to approve the agenda by Alder Vanderleest.
Second.
Second by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
One
Opposed?
second, I'm sorry, 1 second.
Yep.
Alderman Vanderleest, Stevens.
Yep.
I can move it after you approve it.
Yep. Now, and then we'll amend it.
Make it on my.
Yep.
Okay, so that was approved.
Yep, and I'd like to
Now-
amend the agenda to move item number 6 to the top of the list as number 1.
Second that motion.
Seconded by Alder Vanderleest. Motion by myself. Alder Randy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve amended agenda. By Alder Stevens. Seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
To,
Approve the amended agenda.
I see.
Stevens, Vanderleest.
okay.
Okay?
Stevens, Vanderleest.
When you're ready, let us know.
Yes. Okay, you're on to approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes
So
for our January 7th, 2019 Protection Policy meeting.
So moved.
So moved by Alder Stoyer. Seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have our minutes. Approve it. Did you say okay?
Yes.
Okay, on to regular business. Discussion on a request by Alder Weary stating, review with possible action on ordinance 27.203, regulation of noise for the purpose of amending with weekend hours, new daytime, I take it that's military, 900 to 2000 hours, previously discussed at the November 26, 2018 and January 7th, 2019 Protection and Policy meeting. Staff?
Yes, so this was referred to staff to bring back recommendations. I can refer this now to, or defer to our Public Works Director, Steve Grenier, who has submitted a memo to the committee outlining concerns with the proposed ordinance changes.
Okay.
As I outlined in the memo, the staff memo to the committee, DPW does not support this proposal. It does have the ability to adversely impact and unnecessarily restrict necessary work functions of the department. In particular, there are 2 critical tasks that we undertake on weekends that would be adversely impacted. First is construction. What I can tell you is with last year alone, more than half of the available weekends during the construction season were requested by contractors to work on. This council has tasked the Department of Public Works with increasing the amount of work product we are putting out in the construction projects that we are completing in a year. And last year alone, more than half of the available weekends were requested for work. To limit us and our contractors is going to be counterproductive. Also, we conduct a lot of solid waste activities on the weekend. And currently, under 27.203, sub 4, sub C, waste collection is presumed to be reasonable during nighttime hours, Monday through Friday. It's specifically called out. However, during collection of bulk, and any time that we have a situation like we had last week, if we've got adverse weather conditions, heavy rains, things of that nature, we do find it necessary to come in and work on Saturdays. On Saturdays, the Brown County Transfer Station, where we have to deliver that waste, is only open until noon. to stop our drivers from working from 6 o'clock in the morning and push them back until 9 o'clock, we will never get through the routes, and that's gonna force those guys to have we're gonna have to suspend after getting half of the route collected, plus we're gonna have to leave that material in the trucks over the weekends. So there are actually some other items within this ordinance and regular work product that the city of Green Bay completes through the Department of Public Works that aren't addressed. If anything, there are a couple of additional exceptions that need to be listed in there to ensure that we are compliant with our own ordinance. So at this point in time, DPW would not support further restricting those weekend hours.
Question?
Yes. Thanks, Steve, for coming in. Did you have a chance to talk to Alder Weary about this at all?
No, I have not.
Okay. I think initially when this came forward, it was more or less with, I don't know if they were really reflecting on what you folks do, as far as the time frame and that, for the type of work that you're doing. I think it was for other reasons. So I'm just wondering if you had talked to him, and if so, what the results were, but you said you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions? The memos and stuff, that we have nothing in our packet, would that be available for, will that be in the council packet?
Well, we'll definitely make it available in the council packet. I thought
Okay.
it was turned in.
Yes, I thought it was, it should have been part of the packet, so.
We don't have it, but you went over it,
It'll
so,
be in everybody's mailbox tomorrow morning.
okay.
Yeah.
And also in the council packet.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Yep, excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Motion?
I make a motion that we receive and place this on file. I think the ordinance that stands, that we're using right now, I think is appropriate. And then a lot of contractors that are in the private sector, they start at 600 hours. And they work Saturdays, and some of them work Sundays, depending on the weather conditions. So I make a recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Alder Vandelis to receive and place on file, seconded by Alder Steuer. Any other discussion? I think we made the ordinance was made for a reason, to start at 6. It'd be nice if we could bump it, people could sleep. It'd be nice if we could do it every day till 9, but just not practical, so, yeah, I'm for it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Discussion with possible action on a resolution amending the procedure for accepting Class B liquor licenses. Staff.
Yes, so as you may be aware, we are down to only one available liquor license from being in the reserves. Because of this, we've been looking into developing a policy or procedure to be able to fairly and efficiently review multiple applications when our available licenses are low. And we discovered that there was a resolution adopted by the council in 2005 that set forth a procedure. However, we determined that it would no longer satisfy a rational basis review and could expose the city to liability. Accordingly, we have drafted this amended resolution to establish a procedure for the acceptance and review of Class B liquor licenses, which would satisfy a constitutional rational basis review, and it would provide a process that is both fair and efficient. So this resolution would preempt any prior resolution setting forth a procedure moving forward for the review of Class B available applications.
Has the police looked at this as well, or is PD's not really involved, are they, per se?
No, so this basically
'Cause this
provides
doesn't
a
have to do with this.
procedure for the committee and for council, by which when we have multiple applications
Right.
coming forward, it sets forth criteria to review applications. And that when we have applications that meet all the criteria and are pretty much the same, then whoever is first in time would be first in line to make it fair.
And your job would stay the same as far as security plan and everything else,
Yep.
that doesn't it? Yeah, okay. Yes, Alder Steuer?
Thank you, Chair. Joanne, I was just going to ask,
Mhm.
in your estimation, what's the turnover yearly for licenses? Is there any,
Oh, I would not.
for
be
the
able to
police, I
begin
don't know,
to-
Lieutenant?
Begin to guess.
I'm just looking at just kind of a housekeeping type thing as far as numbers.
Knowing what I know, I would probably say less than 5.
Less than 5 yearly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
if that.
Okay.
Not too many.
Right, well, that's part of the issue.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's tight.
Yep, yep. And reserve license costs, 10,000?
10,000. And
Mhm.
we have 22 of those.
Okay.
There's also a cap on that. That's
Then how many of those are used?
Only one.
I can see.
I believe
The
Black and
cost.
Tan has that one.
Who does?
Black and Tan? Or Capital Buzz, I'm not sure who the.
Yeah. you go.
So the cap, is it a bowler or a baseball? Any other questions? Take a motion to, this would go on to council then, correct?
Yep, mhm.
So just to.
To approve, and then council would
Motion to
approve, and then the
approve?
resolution would be passed.
By Alder Stevens.
I'll second.
Seconded by Alder Stoyer. No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Randy,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
have the floor second.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, okay, yep, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I didn't see you.
Motion to open the floor.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
motion over the floor by Alder Stoyer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. Sorry.
That's okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yes.
Don Meldy, 840 South Broadway, Green Bay. Basically, I was just wondering what was the old resolution for amending the procedure, and what's the difference between the one from 2005 and the one today? Everything on here looks pretty standard, and I think it's kind of unprecedented. We haven't had this.
Right.
Like, we haven't reached this point since my tenure as Tavern League president, so.
We're growing.
So the 2005 one of the criteria that was removed was the number of jobs created, the value and nature of improvements to the property, if any. Removed the criteria of groups to which the proposed establishment intends to cater to, existence of outdoor facilities and live entertainment. Unique character of the services or operation of the establishment.
Okay.
And then we added in that when applicants are equally favorable, the preference will be given to first in time.
Yep.
Correct.
Good.
So it removed criteria that we felt would not satisfy a rational basis review by treating particular businesses or groups differently.
Yeah.
And then kept the other criteria that would be fair.
Good. And he was accurate. It's about 5 or less turnover ratio in the city per year, so thank you very much.
Anything care to, it's all good? Anything
No,
care
it all sounds great.
to-
So, thanks.
Thanks for your input.
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Stoyer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're back to, did you catch who made the motion in second for approving?
I'll second.
Otherwise, we do it over, because I don't remember.
One second.
That was first.
You, okay. That'd be Stevens,
And I didn't catch the close the floor, that was
that was,
close the floor.
to close the floor, Alder
Aye.
Stoyer made the motion, Alder Vanderleest seconded.
Okay, close.
Anybody want to third it?
Open. Close. Double checking I have the votes and the motions. I'm a little rusty.
That's all right.
So the original, the motion to approve was made by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Stoyer.
Yep.
And that was unanimous.
Okay, and, okay. Well,
So we're good for that.
we didn't, we should vote now, I think. we-
Revote?
Yeah, because we opened the floor, right? Well, we didn't take any other action though.
You're not making any changes.
Right,
So
yeah.
I think the original motion
So we're good?
stands.
Okay. Let's move on to our next item.
Okay. Good.
Oh, froze here, there we go. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I got it. It was a little slow, but I'm there now. This consideration with possible action and an application by Tapatio Jalisco LLC at 1638 University Avenue for a Class A beverage and a Class A liquor license with a licensed premises as store, previously licensed as an individual Ruben Rodriguez. Staff?
Staff has no objections.
PD concurs.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Alder Stevens.
Second.
Seconded by Alder Steuer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. 3. Now this is the Class B. So is this the last one?
No, so these aren't available licenses, so it's changing ownership, so.
Oh,
It was
we're just
previously
okay.
licensed as an individual and it's moving to an LLC.
Right, right. We really can't issue another license until we get council approval, per se?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, once we get into the reserve though. So we have one, we can
We
do.
have one available, which
Tonight.
is, it's not on the agenda tonight because we needed to have the resolution in place
Okay, that's what I was,
before we take up the last
That's what I
available,
wanted
which
to-
will be on the February 28th, the last one in February.
yep, okay. Then, consideration with possible action on an application by Tapatio Jalisco LLC at 1638 University Avenue for a Class B combination license with a licensed premises as restaurant, waitstaff area, kitchen, previously licensed as an individual, Ruben Rodriguez. Staff?
Staff has no objections.
Please concur.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Consideration with possible action and appeal by Gary Wisniewski regarding his reinspection fees. Staff,
Sorry. Paul Van Kelser's on his way. He's
Oh.
about 15 minutes out. Is that okay if we hold this till
Yes,
he gets here?
we can certainly
I'm
hold it.
sorry. I just.
I asked for 7 minutes and they wouldn't give, the inspection department wouldn't give me 7 minutes.
Ooh, all right. I really want Paul to be here for this one. So. That would be all right if we could just move that till he gets here. He's on his way right now. So.
all right, motion to hold this item, so
I'll make
Paul
that
comes
motion.
and then we'll put him in right after the item we're on.
Second.
Motion by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. We wouldn't be able to make any decision until we had his input anyway, so you're kind of stuck, we're all stuck. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes, so we're holding that until he gets here. Item number, well, this will be 4. Consideration with possible action on general ordinance number 3-19, an ordinance amending section 2.06, subsection 9, Green Bay Municipal Code relating to reference to committees. Staff.
Yes, so there has been some confusion in the past when communications are referred from alders, at council, that could be addressed by more than one committee when it kind of, straddles a couple different topics. And so this ordinance would just alleviate that by designating a primary committee who would then report out to council.
Okay.
So it's just kind of a housekeeping item, just to make the process a little bit more clear.
So Joanne, would that be, when would that take place? Would that take place at council or when somebody brings this forward?
Basically, the determination would be made when it's referred to a committee. That determination would be
So
made at staff.
at
to
staff, okay.
Go to make one committee the primary committee. And if another committee has input on that particular item or that particular issue, that other committee could also have a discussion. It could also be on their agenda, but then they would report to the primary, and then the primary
Okay.
would report out to
I figured it
council
was handled
versus
at-
both
Right.
reporting to council.
Let's handle that staff. That's fine. That's all I
Yes.
needed. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay. Yeah.
Number 7.
Consideration with possible action on a request by Overtime Grill and Pub at 1423 South Broadway to temporarily extend their licensed premises to the parking lot for a private event on June 29th. Staff.
Law department doesn't have any objections. We would defer to PD if they have any questions for the applicant.
Our question would be, pretty much fencing or any type of barrier, plus if there'll be security or what type of security out in the parking lot for this event.
Right, no, so.
Hold on.
Yeah, motion open the floor by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Stoyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's open. Have you filled out a form to,
I sorry, not yet.
okay, well,
We'll
you
just do that.
can do that after and
Sure.
right now.
Randall
State your name and
DeGreef with
address.
The overtime bar. I'm looking to have
Could you please first state your name and address?
Randall DeGreef, 1423 South Broadway.
Okay, and?
I'd like a one-day permit for an outdoor event. It's for my son's wedding. It's going to be a tent, 20 by 60, and food will be catered by the Mark, and just a one-day event, actually. Not open to the public, private event.
Private event.
What's
And
the time?
we'll be blocking off the parking lot with barriers. So
Time frame?
it'll be about 1 o'clock, done by 10.
That's a quick wedding.
Well,
That's all I can afford for it. That's all, one time, and that's it.
yeah, that's it.
So, there'll be a DJ outside. Music will be done long before 10 o'clock. I know the ordinance is 10 o'clock for that.
Yeah.
And no alcohol will be served outside. There will be a kegerator for beer if that's permissible. And that's kind of why I'm asking for a permit for that.
And with the kegerator.
I'll have a server out there.
Okay.
Yeah, a licensed server.
Okay.
Mhm.
And even with the tent, you'll make sure it's known to be private? so
Absolutely. Oh, yeah,
people
for
just
sure.
don't come walking up and...
No, that's a given for sure.
Please so satisfied.
Anything else you care to add?
I think that's good.
Have fun.
Cook well,
Yeah,
man.
extend our congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Vanderleest, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What's your wishes, gentlemen? Motion to approve by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Stoyer. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Consideration with possible action on a request by Scogan's Food Liner, Inc. at 2430 University Avenue to amend their liquor license description
Number
from...
eight.
Did I miss one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
number 8.
8.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, consideration with possible action on an appeal by Rachel Anker regarding the denial of her operator's license. Staff?
Yes, Law Department recommends denial of this appeal based on multiple felony drug convictions and other offenses that substantially relate to the license activity, as they indicate a propensity for repeated criminal behavior and disqualify the appellant as a habitual law offender and as a convicted felon under Chapter 125.04. And I think you should have
Yep, we
copy
got
of the denial memo.
Yeah.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
in front of you.
Yep.
Make a motion open
Well,
the floor.
well, wait,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Please
sorry.
concur with law.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's-
no problem.
Yep, no, that's fine. Motion open the floor by Alder Stoyer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the floor is now open. Is there anybody here for this? Yep, please step up. State your name and address, and if you haven't filled out one of the forms, please fill those out before you go.
My name's Trevor Commons, 1105 Klaus Street. I am Rachel's employer, and I've sat at these meetings before where you've given people a second chance. She deserves one. Simple as that. She's a good employee. Haven't had any problems with her. I don't know her record, but I don't believe it's alcohol related. So, those are my 2 cents.
How long has she been working with you?
3 years?
Okay.
And it kind of, hinders us because we can't schedule her by ourselves, being that she doesn't have a liquor license. So I think it would be good for her too. She could earn more income.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
I'd like to
Yep.
concur.
Oh, well, anything else for this gentleman?
You asked the question.
Oh, I got you. I beat you to it. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here for this? Please state your name and address.
Rachel Anchor and 1267 Denata Drive.
Okay.
I went through a lot of my, sorry, I'm like super nervous.
Yeah, that's okay. So take your time, no hurry.
I've changed my life a lot since then. This is something that happened over 5 years ago. And I went through 4 years of probation with no troubles. I also went, like, I was on the electric monitor when I was at Fred's with no problems, and part of my probation, I went through 2 years of AODA counseling and behavioral counseling, and I graduated college and held my job through all of it. I'm a functioning member of society. And I feel that the denial is saying otherwise. And I'm just hoping for another chance, or for a chance just in general. I've never had my bartender's license for Green Bay. I'd like to just be able to prove myself.
Have you had a bartender's license for any other establishment, any other municipalities?
Ashwaubenon gave me an operator's license, and I had that for close to like 2 years, I want to say.
Okay. Questions?
Rachel, thanks for coming in. I know it's not easy, but, you know, I appreciate you coming in. You mentioned Fretz, that's where you're working right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any other letters or anything from, besides employers, anybody that you worked with?
I have
or
one from my...
worked with you?
from-
I'm not worked per se, but, you know, just any other letters of reference or anything that you...
From anybody?
From anybody.
I have one from my other boss.
Okay, thanks.
But like I said, you took some counseling and different things like that. I just was wondering if you have any
Oh, I
documentation of that.
have, I did bring, that's like the thing that they gave me at the place that I had the counseling, and it says, when I started, how many sessions I had, what I was treated for, and the permission.
You went through it.
Yep, and then that's my discharge from probation.
Okay, these are the things that are good, you know, that we can look at. Okay, anything else?
I think that's all that, yeah.
All right. Thank
If
you.
you'd like, you can have those back.
Yeah, we just
Yeah,
needed
just wanna
to
look
kind
at
of see it.
Yeah.
That's all I have at this moment.
Anything else you care to add?
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. Anyone else here for this item? Motion to close the floor.
Second.
No, no.
Oh.
Motion by Alder Vanderleest to close the floor, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the floor is now closed. What do you think, gentlemen?
That convinced me, bringing that documentation forward. I'm all prepared to approve.
Second.
Yeah, seems like she certainly has changed her life around. She's got a degree. Well, I want to ask her what the degree in was in. Oh, well.
Yeah, open the floor for that.
No, that's not that important. Just curious. Doesn't matter. She got a degree. Congratulations. Yeah, I think she's turned her life around. She's already been getting. She's already been issued a license from the municipality. Had it for 2 years, no problems. I have no problem here. Anything else? Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. I should say
Council, yeah.
that everything we do here is just a recommendation to the council, which will be meeting on February 18th. So that's where the final say is. So,
Bring your documentation.
Thank you.
okay.
Okay. You voted, right?
Yep.
We're all set.
We're all set. Now, Scoggins. Consideration with possible action on a request by Scoggins Food Liner, Inc. at 2430 University Avenue to amend their liquor license description from one-story cement building
Well, welcome to City Hall, where we're back here.
W&S.
Here, I have a little bit of a cold in that fight, so, but we'll talk tonight a little bit how the city of Green Bay works.
What in the world?
I am not sure.
We have ghosts.
City Hall and the government.
It sounds like
This
it's,
room that you're in right now is the city council chamber, so this is where.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I wonder if they can hear us. Hello?
actually it's fortuitous, because my computer's.
Fortuitous. I haven't heard that word in a while.
Fortuity.
Fortuity.
To a T.
To it.
We'll just wait a minute. All right. Description from one-story cement building, SEP W&S storage and checkouts to one-story cement building, approximately 80,110 square feet with separate wine and spirit storage and checkout, including designated stalls and parking lot for online grocery pickup. Previously held at the October 8th, 2018 Protection and Policy Meeting. Thank you. Staff.
I lost my place. Okay, so the click and collect ordinance that was set forth to regulate this type of activity was defeated at the last council meeting. It was not adopted. Accordingly, the staff recommends that this request be denied, as we do not have an ordinance to adequately regulate click and collect sales.
Please concur.
Did you want to speak on this?
Sure, yes.
All right, motion to open the floor.
Motion open the floor.
Open by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's open. If you fill that out, if you didn't, then.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, and your name and address, please.
It's Rick Teagarden, 2945 Emma Lane Drive, Green Bay. So I guess my question would be, if we don't have an ordinance in place, how do we proceed to get an ordinance in place? So I think in previous conversations, you know that we have 32 stores and approximately 25 of those stores have click and go. We're down to probably 3 of those 25 not having the ability to sell wine and spirits with the click and go program, and with one of us, with the Green Bay North store being one of the 3. So I guess how can we move
well,
this
you know,
forward?
this got shot down once before. We brought it back and it passed barely, and it got to the second reading and then got shot down again. So we could try a third time. I don't know what kind of success. I would suggest before we try a third time that maybe any stores who are interested in this speak to alders and the mayor's office and try and get the support around it, because right now, I think we just went forward right now, we're still facing, we're not gonna get anywhere,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I actually checked out the mayor just a few days ago and had a short little conversation. So, but yeah. So you're saying we
Right now-
proceed
We're stuck, right now. Those 3 stores are stuck right now, sorry, and,
Well, they're not all in Green Bay, just us.
Okay,
So,
yeah, but,
We just have 2 other municipalities that are going through the same process, and so.
so my advice would be to talk to some alders who voted against it, talk to the mayor's office who passed the deciding vote, and, perhaps after those conversations, I can contact staff or
an alder to.
an alder,
have
you
it
can contact me,
Please.
to put in another communication, we'll give her another run.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
yeah, thanks,
Thanks.
sorry. Yes, Alder Dorr?
Thank you. I just would like to know, can any of the alders put in another communication, or can it only be someone that voted? No, okay, well then I will be putting in another communication at the next council meeting to come back to this committee to reconsider it.
I would recommend not doing it at council, because then it has to be published and that costs money. Just go to clerk's office and put in a communication, or send it to me or whatever.
Back the ordinance.
Yep.
Sure. I will be putting that in then, thank you.
Okay, that's it then. Yep, okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you have a?
I got some special guests. I know you're in the middle of a meeting.
Yep.
And, thank you for checking me out. We have the Weevil Scouts from
Hey.
St. Bernard Parish that are here learning
See if I
about
remember.
government. And I'm like, you picked a good night.
Yeah.
So, we'll spend some time in my office, and I was just explaining how the committees work and full council debates, the executive office. So I didn't want to interrupt. I just
Yep,
told
well,
them this is a good night to stop in and say hello to one of their 12 local representatives. They just want to wave, say hi. Right, there's nice you here. All right.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The floor is now closed, so a motion to deny?
Motion to receive and place on file.
Well, would it be
It would,
To
it would
deny.
be to deny.
to deny? Motion denied by Alder Vanderleest,
Second.
seconded by Alder Steuer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Should almost oppose it just for fun.
I forgot to mention, to deny a liquor license, we need to state on the record the basis for that denial.
So the basis would be that we have no ordinance to regulate this license.
Perfect.
We're not denying, we're just amending.
Well, we're denying,
Because
this is being denied. It doesn't affect our other license.
This is for.
just the way they deliver.
Who's the amending?
Okay.
Consideration with possible action on a request by Ultimate Mart LLC at 1819 Main Street to amend their liquor license to read one-story retail grocery and liquor at 1819 Main Street, including the exterior parking stall specifically designed for the online merchandise order and pickup service, and the pathway utilized to access the parking stalls. I take it this is the same,
Yes.
so,
Same. The staff recommendation would be the same, to deny.
can I? Anybody here just to speak on this? Okay, motion open the floor.
Motion open the floor.
By Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, make sure you fill out a form, please, if you haven't.
I did.
And- Okay, state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Brianna Cotton. I work for Around East Supermarkets. My address is 875 East Wisconsin Avenue, Milwaukee. So yeah, I'm here for the same request for our pickup service in order to provide a full service to the community. We would really like to include this at the store, as well as it's already been approved at the Oshwabanon store and the Bellevue store. So we'd really like to be able to provide citizens of Green Bay the same same things we provide everybody else. So I heard, obviously I was here for the last motion, so I look forward to further discussion on this.
Me too. Any questions or anything? Okay, thank you. Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Alder Steuer.
Second.
Second by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Floor is now closed. Motion to deny. Alder Vanderleest. Seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, oh, that's pretty good timing.
And the basis is the same, that there's no ordinance.
That basis is saying there's no ordinance to enforce the liquor license.
No, we voted, right?
And we voted.
Okay.
And now we can go back,
So I don't,
number 4 on our
Back to
agenda.
item 4.
yes.
Are we ready to go?
No, do we have?
Yes, we are ready to go.
Consideration with possible action on appeal by Gary Wisniewski regarding his reinspection fees. Staff, you're up. I hope you caught your breath.
I did. The package should be
Yep.
with the information you have. I don't have anything new to add at this point. I'll just have to comment on whatever Gary has to say, because everything's in the packet that's prepared for you.
Okay. Did anyone have
Any
any questions
questions?
for staff on this?
Not at this moment, maybe afterwards.
Okay. Thanks. Then I take a motion to open the floor.
Motion open the floor.
Second.
Motion by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the floor is now open.
Gary Wisniewski, 773 East River Drive, De Pere, Wisconsin.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've been bombarded with reinspection fees. I don't know why. It was given 3 different dates in which to complete the work that the tenant has caused on one of my rental properties. Yet they were only out there, I think, 4 times for inspections, one more than what they originally were going to schedule. And I got 4 reinspection fees. It was a lot of work. There was a lot of trash. I hauled out about 16 garbage bags and 3 full pickup trucks out of there. A lot of repair caused by the tenant. A lot of cleaning needed to be done, and they didn't give us a whole lot of time to do it. So Brenda was the inspector for that particular property, and she called one day to get the place inspected, or re-inspected, and I couldn't make it, my manager couldn't make it. So she gave her the combination, or the lockbox combination, so she could just open it up, get the key, and go in and take a look at it. I didn't know why she wanted to go back in there, because we weren't done yet, but she went back in there saying, place isn't done. Well, she gave us 3 different dates to get the stuff done. She gave us re-inspection fee on that, even though we still had a couple more dates to go. Second time, she set up an appointment when I'm driving in my truck. I didn't have nothing to write with, and she gave me a date, and I asked her to give me a call when she's on her way so I can meet her. That day of that inspection, I called her at 9 o'clock in the morning saying, listen, what time is it? Because I want to make sure I'm there. I waited all morning for that call. She never called me. Finally, I get a call. I'm sitting by my desk. I get a call. I'm in De Pere. She says, we're here. Where are you? I says, I'll be right there. You know, I was expecting a call so I could meet you. I get another call when I'm in Ashwaubenon, halfway there, and they says, where are you? We want to get in this place. And I told them, I said, well, use the combination and get in. Says, we don't have the combination. My manager gave it to her. What did she do with it? They expected me to know what that combination was right off the top of my head. I said, it's in my phone. Give me a minute. I can look it up. Call me back. Taking me about 45 seconds. I almost had it. But then, nothing. They left on me. I get all the way down there. They couldn't wait. I asked Jason, he was with her. I asked him, give me 7 minutes, I'll be there. They couldn't give me 7 minutes. The inspection department asked for 15 here, they got it. I couldn't have 7. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't even rent to this lady. I didn't damage the place. It says right in this inspection report that it's the tenant's responsibility to keep it clean. Did she get any fines? Did she get any orders to do the cleaning? Did she get any of these fees? Nothing. They come on to me, talking to me over the phone like I'm some type of lowlife, that I don't deserve anything. And that's the way I've been treated. I feel like I'm nothing and nobody, and I'm not that way. You know, I was voted last week as Volunteer of the Week for the Brown County Volunteer Center. I give a lot of my time to different organizations. The St. John Homeless Shelter for 2 years. Meyer Theater I volunteered for. Evergreen Theater I volunteered for. You know, if I got to pay this money out, it's coming from the donations that I give out to this community. Because I'm not taking the money from the food from my table to pay these fees. I just think they're excessive. I talked to Cheryl Anita Wiggs. I said, what is it with all these fees? She says, well, get used to it because we're going to be giving them out right and left. Get used to it. So I don't know if the city of Green Bay's having financial problems, that they're looking at this as another way of taxing people. I just don't think it's right. And I think I should be treated better than what I have been treated over the phone and in person with the inspection department. So I'm asking for these fees to be dropped. They got done, they got completed, it was a lot of work. I got it done within a pretty reasonable amount of time. They could have, the last inspection fee I got from the plumbing inspector, Jason, I believe his name was, all along, he accused me of being the one that did some illegal plumbing, and I told him I did not. But yet he talks to me and he accuses me like I'm the one that's doing the plumbing work, and I didn't do any work on the plumbing. So instead of him just warning me, saying, if you ever do it again, we're going to give you a fine, He gives me another inspection fee. He says, I don't even have to go out there to get that inspection fee. All I have to do is open the file, I'm gonna give you another one. And he did. He opened the file, gave me another one, then after he did it, he gave me a warning, do not do any inspections. I mean, really, do you have to be that bad to be a Green Bay inspector? I'm at lost in why they have to behave in such a way. I'm not a criminal. I didn't do this work, you know, all this damage. It's my own property that got damaged too. I've lost a lot of money, you know, fixing this place up, and that was destroyed by a tenant that I didn't even rent to, my manager did. So I'm asking for these fees to be dropped, and I'm just asking for the city of Green Bay to be reasonable. And I was reasonable, more than reasonable, you know. They make mistakes, they don't write down the combination, they don't come on time, they get away with everything. I can't get away with anything. I'm just asking to be treated equal here, you know. That was a lot of work. I can show you the pictures of the city had, of the, you know, the damage done and the trash and everything.
We've got it.
Pages and pages of it, and they expected me to get it done in less than about a month's time. Here's pictures of it. Here's orders. Here's a, you know, copy of my announcement. I just don't think they're very reasonable. I just don't think they're very nice people. Not what I would think Green Bay would want to be known for.
I have a couple of questions.
Yep. We'll start with Alder Vanderleest.
I was going to ask you, Gary, how did the City of Green Bay Inspection Department get involved with this project, with your property?
You know, there was a phone call, this is what I was told, because I wasn't witnessing any of this firsthand. There was a phone call by the tenant. They thought somebody was in their basement. So they called the police department. The police came to inspect to see if anybody was there. They brought their dogs to make sure there was no one hiding in the basement, and it was all cleared that there wasn't anybody there. But they were shocked, I believe, by the way this lady kept the house. And I think I would have been too if I would have had a chance to, well, I did have a chance to see it after she cleaned up some of it, but that's how they got involved, is this police department, after seeing how the housekeeping skills that she had, they called the inspection department.
It looks like a pretty extensive type of cleanup from the pictures that...
Yeah, and...
What is the actual amount of the fees that you were assessed as far as the reinspection fees? How much are the fees total?
It's either 200 or 250. I'm not sure if it was 4 of them or 5 of them.
I thought it was 200.
4 of them then? Yeah. So 200.
200.
I'm asking
200. 200. Any other questions?
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Alder Stevens?
Curiosity, was this resident still here while this was all going on?
She was here for part of it. They had a problem getting in and inspected originally, Brenda did, because the mother wasn't home, the child wasn't gonna let her in, so she came back later that day to get in to do the inspection, and put orders right on there that, you know, she needed to clean the place up. And, sorry, did I answer your question?
Sure, and out of curiosity, how often do you inspect your own properties?
I hire...
Because the photos we're seeing here, this doesn't happen overnight, so.
Yeah. I'm not a slumlord. I hire a very professional manager to take care of these properties.
Is she still
If
with
she
you?
slipped up, you know, so be it. She slipped up on, obviously she did when picking this one. I mean, I wasn't happy about it, because it doesn't cost her anything out of her pocket to let a bad one slip by, but it cost me an awful lot, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, don't get me wrong, I mean, the same type of business you're in, so, but this is quite a lot, so.
Other questions?
Not right now.
Alder Steuer?
Thank you.
So thank you.
Well, thanks. Well, Gary, Gary, I'm gonna ask you.
2 more questions.
There was a couple things here. You have 12 other units, and they said there's been 18 complaints over the last number of years. can you talk about that a little bit? I think one of,
Sure I can.
just, you know, for information.
Summarize it. You know, City of Green Bay is looking for low-income housing for people in this area. They want reasonable rents. And I understand that. But in the meantime, when they're attracting people from other areas that are a little bit undesirable, Kenosha, Racine, and Milwaukee, and Chicago and stuff. And some of these people are good. They're hard to check out when they're from Cook County, and you're looking on online to see what type of where they lived in the past 3 times, from their activities. So some of them slip through, and when they do, you give them a 5-day eviction notice. And when you give them a 5-day eviction notice, the majority of them will call the inspection department. And before the inspection department gets there, they will damage the property and point out every single thing that they broke and every single thing that was wrong in one way or another through wear and tear or whatever the case may be. And it's revenge. It's revenge from getting back at the landlord. They want to give as much grief and as much expense as they can for revenge for getting evicted. If the inspection department come right out right away when they get there and say, have you been evicted? Probably 60% of them would say yes. And now they know why they're there. But they don't care why they're there. They're there for one reason only, just to keep the housing code up to standard. They're not caring who broke it, how it got done. They just want everything up to standard code. That's their job.
Well, I think the reason I asked it is that, we as alders, we go out in our districts quite a bit.
Just questions?
Well, I know, but I'm
Okay.
just,
Okay, go ahead.
well, getting to the point, just looking at properties that have that type of issue. And I guess for me, if you have 18 complaints and you're saying it's revenge related, I can't see maybe every one of those being like that. So I guess this is a he said, she said kind of thing. And we're just trying to gather data here,
Well, the one before this was Oakland. The people took a hammer or some hard object and smashed all the strikers in the doors so they couldn't lock. So I got written up on 719 Oakland that fix these doors, they don't lock properly. Well, come on, it's common sense. Would they have rent that place if none of the doors locked? Just a coincidence, the front door, back door, and the garage service door don't lock. And they're all damaged strikers, And the one before that was Monroe Street. It was a tenant that's getting evicted, and they called the city, and the city found some things that got fixed right away. The other thing was steps on the back of the unit, because originally the porch didn't have a door on it, but homeless people were coming under the porch and sleeping there at night. Police couldn't control that, the behavior of the people, so the landlord must have put doors on it, because when I bought it, there were doors on it. Putting doors on it made them steps illegal. So I got written up for illegal steps that I need to replace.
all right, that's all I have for now, but thanks.
I need a
appreciate-
clarification. Okay, this looks like this all started November 1st of last year. Was this tenant still occupying this unit?
Yes.
And when did she vacate the property?
I don't know, sometime, I would believe it was sometime in November though.
Okay, because our inspections are 10 days, so this should have been cleaned up in 10 days. If she was still there, she should have been helping you.
No, we didn't even start cleaning until she was out of that place.
Well, I'm just saying a lot of this is the tenant's responsibility as well as the owner. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Alder Vanderleest? No
Gary, one
questions?
other question. On the properties you own in Green Bay, is this the only reinspection fees that you owe the city of Green Bay at this time?
It's the only ones I ever got in my life.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information.
Any other questions? Anything else you care to add?
Not at this time.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave the floor open, so. Anything from staff? Okay,
I'd like to talk to staff.
yep, questions then? Yep.
Would you like to come up, sir? As far as the time frame that Gary was dealing with, there's 4 inspection fees related to this.
Yep.
Was there any confusion as far as, in other words, getting in the place or whatever, as far as,
There was, in the last instance where they tried to get in, they couldn't get in. The combination that they gave him on the phone didn't work, and then he was gonna look up another one. There wasn't enough time, he didn't call back. And then our guys called him, and it was still 10 minutes later, and he didn't have it, so they decided to leave. For that one, they needed 2 inspectors. Brenda was going as the chief inspector for the inside of the building. Jason was there as the plumbing inspector, checking out the plumbing work that was done.
Well, I was just gonna ask, it just seemed like Gary was talking about a little disconnect between, your department and him, on various times when he was driving over and that type of thing. Can you relate much on that as far as the 7 minutes that he needed to get over there? And
Not
it wasn't-
without pulling like phone logs to see whether it was truly 7 minutes or it
Because
was what it
sometimes
was.
that type of thing can happen.
It was a set appointment that was scheduled, which is why Brenda and Jason went at that time. He didn't write it down or forgot. He said he called the office, which is entirely possible and quite probable, but by 9 o'clock, they're out in the field already. They don't check their desk phones when they're out in the field. They do when they come back at the end of the day, but not during the day.
Well, I realize that they have a certain number of inspections that they do during the course of the day, but there's no way to contact them while they're out in the field. Let's say something came up.
He could have called the front office, and the front office could call the inspectors in the field. They don't give their cell phone numbers.
No, I understand that.
It'd be too much.
Okay.
I was going to ask Gary, if he cut this fee in half from $200 to $100, would you be comfortable with that? Because he did have to make 4 trips out there. They did make 4 trips out there, and I know there was some confusion. So when they would cut that fee from $200 to $100.
Brenda wouldn't have had to if she would have called me when she was on her way. I would have been there. Jason, this last one I got, he didn't have to give it to me. He waited, he could have gave me the warning not to do any plumbing and be done with it and close the file, but no, he wanted to give me one more, saying I looked at the file, now I give you a warning. I'd be willing to pay 1. I think it's more than reasonable.
Would you be consider half, in other words, half of the fees that they're asking for? They're asking for $200. Is that correct? Would you be comfortable with cutting it in half?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
You said no?
I mean, she had the combination, she could have went in, she didn't.
There was some confusion on the combination, or whatever, that they didn't get in. But they still had to make 4 trips out there. And
But she's scheduled for 3 different times to go out there. She didn't go out there in January the last time she's supposed to, because we got it done before that. So, I mean, if you take the 3 times, the 3 different dates that she had to go inspect the place, that'd be 3 times. I'll pay the 1 inspection fee that she had to go for the 4th time.
They went for 2 inspection times, and those are the 2 that they charged her. This whole thing started back in November. Gave them till middle of December to make corrections, and then the re-inspection date was set for that December. It wasn't done. The inspection fee was charged. Then they did the second one with a set time, and he wasn't there. Those are the 2 trips, the 2 inspection fees for each of them.
Well, it looks like that reinspection was 45 days after the initial complaint, so that's quite a long time.
Alder Steuer?
Okay, thanks. Paul, the floor's still open, correct?
Right.
Okay. Gary, I get, what we're trying to do here is maybe find some kind of compromise here. I mean, I know that you feel that it's unjustified. I kind of concur with Alder Vanderleest on this as far as trying to find a happy medium. And I agree with Alder Stevens as far as the fact that, the pictures that I see here seemed like this took some period of time to get to that point, so, you know, he's in the apartment business and he sees things, so I just feel like that there was some, I don't want to say negligence, but, you know, just a lack of effort, maybe through your property manager. So I concur with Alder Vanderleest.
Stick to,
Yeah.
that's our discussion.
Right.
Let's get the information. all the
That's all,
information.
okay, that's all I've got.
Let me show you one more piece of evidence.
Well-
It shows that it was, everything was corrected on 12/28, but yet on on 1/2, Jason went ahead and gave me an inspection fee after everything was done, re-inspection fee, just because he turned on his computer and he said, oh,
That, the 1/2 inspection that you're referring to is actually from the 27th. With the holidays and stuff in there, the invoicing and whatnot, it occurred on the 2nd, but it actually, the inspection was from the 27th.
I think one question I have, Paul, is that, you know, some of these inspection fees that are levied, some could take 1 minute, some could take half hour. I mean, is there any rhyme or reason as far as time frame for some of this?
For what, the dollar
You know,
amount?
well,
or
yeah,
the-
dollar amount, and the amount of time, I know they're all different.
They're all
but-
different. So right now, the $50 is the flat fee that has been established in the past, not under me, but I'd like to look at that. It's been established as that's quote-unquote the max that we can charge right now for an inspection fee, based on time and mileage and whatnot that goes into it. I don't think it's high enough, based on everything that goes into the inspection.
That's all I have right now.
Question on, if a property owner needs more time, is there a process, can they call and say, can I get another? can they make their-
Yeah, we advocate that. We advocate working with us to come up with a plan to make the improvements or changes or corrections that have to be done. By the time we get to the re-inspection process, those avenues haven't been, I mean, they've been pursued, but with no results. So this is when we go into the re-inspection fee process, because we gotta make a point. We can't keep going back. In the past, we used to go back for free, but it doesn't, you don't get anywhere. The issues still stand. You don't get resolution on what you're trying to resolve.
Just, you'll get a chance, roll, you know. And when it comes to the renters, what responsibilities, they're probably responsible too? How does that, how do we factor that in? Can we?
We don't really. I mean, yes, they did some of it,
Right.
but our onus is on the landlord.
Right.
The landlord is the one that's doing the rental and is accountable for the building. If we had to track down and prove on every case that the tenant did that, it wasn't the landlord, so on and so, we would get nowhere.
Would that be more on the landlords?
It's
to
on their.
go after them?
Yes, it's
Right.
after the fact they can pursue that individual that they chose to rent to.
As well as going after the management company
Correct.
for, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yep, Alder Galvin?
Just, the landlords can also have them charged in municipal court with criminal damage to rental property. They can also have them charged for failure to pay rent. That way, if they're convicted, it follows them through CCAP. So when other landlords in the future are to do a background check on them, they can see these crimes have been, they've been charged and convicted of it. So that was a tool that was put in place several years ago to assist the landlords. They again have to be the ones, though, that file a complaint and follow through with the charges.
Okay, thank you, yep, that's helpful. Why is CCAP, why not a BCAP?
I'll ask Gary one more thing.
Yep.
Gary, after listening to some of this, you know, what Alder Galvin brought up and what Paul's brought up, I mean, you still feel unjustified that things didn't work out your way? Or, I mean, like I said, you could pursue it, you could have pursued these tenants.
That's a joke.
Well, I'm just asking what you're.
Of course, we're gonna go to CCAP and clear out there so other landlords don't get burnt by this lady. But that's, you know, that's $90 that I'm gonna forfeit in addition to all the money that she cost me, just so other landlords don't get burnt. And he mentioned the fact that there was no work done when they did inspection, so they're of course gonna do an inspection fee so that you get this landlord going here. That's not the case in this case. There was quite a bit of work done when they came and inspected the first time. There was quite a bit more done the second. As a matter of fact, she added some more stuff to the list. So there was progress, and there was three different, like I said, there was three different times that it should be corrected by, the last one being January 14th. It was closed before the 1st of January, everything was done. So she didn't have to come out on the 14th of January to do any inspections, she saved the inspection right there.
Well, it did sound like, you know, Paul was mentioning that there were times that were set up for you to be there, and for whatever reason, you weren't. And I, you know, even though you said, well, you know, I was here, I was there, what have you, you know, we're all busy, but I think when they set up the times and you weren't there, I'm sorry. And go ahead. No.
I was there for the closing one, where Brenda went through and the plumber went through and said everything looks good. I tried to be, I called her at 9 o'clock in the morning to make sure I could catch her before she leaves for her day, so that she can return my call to give me the exact time, so I'm there. But she informed me that she didn't come in till noon, and she didn't even bother going to her office to answer any of the messages. She went straight out to the field. And that's why she didn't catch my message at 9 o'clock, because she didn't go in until noon that day. But she still told me she would call me when she was on the way, and she didn't. She called me after she was sitting there, you know, after she got there, which didn't give me enough time to get there to meet her, you know. Technicality, yes, but it's like, she didn't return my phone call. You know, sure, I made a couple mistakes, she made a couple mistakes. Let's call it a wash. Let's be reasonable here. I got the work done, less than 2 months' time. That's what they want. They want results, and they got it.
Was there?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So when you have to go to the property to do the inspection, because you have a re-inspection here, do you notify them that you're coming out to make sure the work is done?
In this particular case, I
Yeah.
don't know if they did. But in this one, they had a set time, so this one I know they did. But in general, do I know?
It's like 10 days, right?
It all varies.
Okay.
That's one of the things we're working on, to get tighter, so that there is less variability in what the times are for this, that kind of, for cleaning things up and addressing issues.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
That's all
I got something, but it's for later, it's not really pertinent here. Maybe something to think about, but, anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Just one, but, and when this all started, and they gave you 45 days, you were part of that discussion, and if you needed more time, was there a reason why you didn't call and negotiate that with staff?
I don't think time was the issue here. It's just communication and getting there at the right time. Because like I said, we got it done before the end of December, and her last case was, last inspection that she has here for number 7, keeping the living unsanitized and cluttered state, gave till January 14th to get that done. So I did get it done in time, that's not the issue. It's just that they're throwing this stuff out like, these fees, they're throwing them out like they're desperate to keep them, to stay in business.
But the reinspection fees start after a time has been set for you to get the work done. And if you needed more time before they start re-inspecting, I mean, that could have all been avoided if you had called and talked to staff about saying, I've got so much, I'm making pretty good progress, I've got so much done, I need this much more time, 15 more days, 16 and a half more days, whatever. Then they don't even come out to re-inspect until after that time.
I did call her in the morning at 9 o'clock to say that I can meet you, I don't need the time, we can go ahead and do the inspection at 9 o'clock, but she didn't check her messages.
But they did come out and there was still work to be done.
they didn't get into our building because she didn't bring the code with her, and she bothered going through the door, and she wasn't willing to wait 7 minutes for me to get there to let them in.
But at that time, all the work was done?
They just didn't
We're
go in.
we're convoluting two different things.
Yep, okay.
The first reinspection fee was December 12th. Yes. So way back in November, wrote the orders, get it cleaned up, we're coming back on the 12th. They went back on the 12th, still had all these issues that were unresolved. They gave them more time and set up another reinspection. That was the 27th.
Right.
Then at that one, it passed, but they couldn't get in, so they had to come back. Well, I don't know if it passed. They couldn't get in, so they came back the last time
And that
they did
passed.
it. Yes.
Right. But, and what I'm trying to get at is that even before we get to the reinspection, I mean, you went once and there's still work to do. If you had contacted staff and extended that time, they wouldn't even have came out once. Because even if they come out once, there's a fee, correct?
Well,
no, that was my question.
No, there isn't. So let's say that on November when we did the orders, on December 12th, we were coming back for the reinspection. If it passes, good, everything's done, no reinspection fee. It got reinspection fee because it didn't pass. And the reinspection fee on the 27th was because they couldn't get in. They wasted a trip to go back there.
So I have a question for you now.
Sure.
So if everything was done within, say, this 45 days here, you wouldn't have charged that $50 fee?
Correct.
So would you be willing to accept $150 for this whole inspection? Just take the 50 off for that one day?
For which day?
The 12th.
They go in twos. So both Brenda and Jason went there because of the issues, and Brenda and Jason went on the second one. So it's $200.
Okay. But
There
you-
were plumbing issues
Sure.
that were illegally done.
I see that.
And that's part of the side story that's not all in here, trying to get to the bottom of how that happened. There was nothing provided to explain who did the work. And Jason was trying to get to the bottom and figure that out.
Okay.
So no, there's the 2 inspections by each of them.
So the inspection fees are, the $200 are for the inspection department. Inspection is above and beyond that?
No, that was their.
That was all
together.
part of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 people went, so there were 2 $50 reinspection fees.
So why did 2 people go?
Because there was a plumbing violation, and Brenda has the housing and zoning relative to all the pictures you saw.
Got it.
Plumbers don't get into that part. They each have their own responsibility.
Oberdorf?
Thank you. I'll put it in the form of a question.
Okay.
Since we're in jeopardy here.
Yeah.
So we have a process in the city. We have an inspection fee process that we've approved. We think that we are doing the right thing. As you stated, if you don't have the fee, there's no teeth to it, so nothing happens. So let's see, how can I put this in the form of a question? Why would we reduce the amount of the fee? Why would we not support our department and our inspectors, who we should be trusting, who are trained to do this, who are experienced in doing this, and they're just following the process that we as alders, that we as a city have put in place? Why should we not charge the full fee? That's my question.
I can't answer that. It would be charged.
Yes.
Okay, thank
It
you.
would be charged.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, last time, there was wiggle room to.
That one had some
That was
different
different.
This is pretty straight up.
Straight up. Any other questions for anyone involved?
No.
Any other last statements you care to make before we close the floor?
I just think they went overboard on the fees. I mean, if there was one time that you write off, it would be $100, because there's $100 a crack. It was 2 times that if they would have waited the 7 minutes and let me in, or, let me let them in, or if they would have brought the code, or used the code that they were given, there wouldn't have been that second fee. Okay, there would have only been the 1 fee. It's $100 a crack. It's not $50 a crack.
Right.
It's 100.
Right,
So.
because there's 2. Yep.
Yeah. And they're just, it's not like they went there and nothing was done. I got quite a bit of work done. And the second time they went there, it was done. So.
Gary, I just had a question. This whole thing with the plumbing, to me, it seems like the work was done by someone and there was no permit for it, or what's your take on that?
No, the work was done, the work was done by a guy that rents from me. And,
Which by code you can't do, you gotta have a license to do the work, which Gary knows.
Well, then that's my
no,
question.
it was minor plumbing. It states in the state laws that minor plumbing is allowed by tenants. Matter of fact, it's their responsibility to do the minor plumbing when you want to put little rubber gaskets in because it's leaking. You got a trap to put on. Minor plumbing is, you don't have to have a license for. What I did not know is, yeah, you don't have to have a license to put a rubber gasket in. But he informed me that you do have to have a license to put a trap on. So that I did not know. And this guy went ahead and did it. Well, I thought he did it. His buddy did it. And I paid cash, so when he asked me who did it, I told him who did it. I cooperated with him. I told him where he lived. I didn't have his phone number. But still, he didn't want to believe me that this guy did it. And didn't turn around and gave me the warning anyway after,
I
after
think,
the...
I think part of it is the fact that, you have 12 different units, and these are things that, ignorance is no excuse. I think in something like this, that's something that, no matter how trivial you think it is, I still think it's important that you know that. So, that's just my take. That's all I got.
Anything else?
Yeah, I had a manager to handle this, and I'm sorry that the manager didn't do a better job, and I just think that City of Green Bay should be a little more reasonable and not so cold-hearted as they are.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The floor is now closed. Gentlemen, what are you thinking?
Proposal, I think it's kind of a learning curve, I think, for the landlord. And I know there's some confusion on the city side. I know that, we tried to collect our inspection fees. They've been out there a few times. My recommendation would be charge them $100. And I think that's more than reasonable. And that's my proposal.
Discussion on that?
Yeah.
I think initially I was in favor of that, but I think after hearing about the plumbing issue and a couple other things, I'm starting to change my mind. I appreciate Alder Dorf and Alder Galvin stating that. So I feel that the fee should be paid.
Yeah, but I
That's my motion.
Oh, motion. Okay, got a motion for deny the appeal. You get a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Stevens. More discussion? No? Okay, well, I'd just say that I think your management let you down big time and they owe you, but that's between you and them, I'm afraid. We have to, our inspectors are working hard, they're out there working, and we're in the process of changing, making things more efficient, more workable. I don't think our staff is terribly negligent in any way, so I think you need to go after your management to recoup your losses here. They're the ones who I think have really dropped the ball on this in a lot of ways. So I'm in agreement. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Do you want to do a roll call vote?
You owe nay? Okay, yep. Yep, okay, yep.
So no is,
Yes, deny, I'm sorry.
yeah, what is?
No denies the appeal, right?
Because it's a motion to deny, yes denies the appeal.
Nice
no
denies the appeal.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, that didn't work.
Is it not working?
But
I think because I
No
marked it all
denies
as
the
yes.
appeal.
Can we just clear it out? Or?
Say that again on that.
I can just do it just manually
So
put it in. Alder Stevens was a yes vote.
Yes?
Yes to deny.
Yes to deny.
Alder Vanderleest is a no to deny.
No to deny.
Alder Steuer is a yes to deny.
yes.
Yes.
And Alder Scannell is a yes to deny.
Yes.
Okay, that passes on a vote of 3-1.
Okay. And that is Oh, okay, well. Goes to council. Thank you. We are, a 5-minute break. How about a 7-minute break? I think there's a couple of us that are gonna be. Motion to hold, to take a break for 7 minutes? Okay, we don't need a motion to come back into session, do we? We just
I think we probably do.
Motion
Yes, we do.
Resume.
Motion to resume by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor to get it going again?
Aye.
Opposed? We're rocking and a rolling. Number 11?
One sec.
Yep.
Okay.
Consideration as possible action on application for a Class B combination license by V3 LLC at 2056 Main Street, Suite 1, with a licensed premise description as bar, walk-in cooler, storage. Previously V3 Entertainment LLC. Staff.
Yes, staff's recommendation would be to deny this application based on prior convictions of the applicant for several offenses, including 3 OWIs that substantially relate to holding a liquor license, and which would disqualify the applicant as a habitual law offender under 125.04. The offenses should be detailed in your memo. Our recommendation is to deny based on prior convictions. The law requires that we provide the applicant an opportunity to present evidence of rehabilitation and fitness to engage in the licensed activity. Normally, this would require us to hold the application to allow the applicant to bring forward any evidence, but it's my understanding that the applicant has submitted a statement with his application and wishes to present that as his evidence for the committee to hear. And I also believe police department has some comments and recommendations that they would like to share with respect to their contact with the applicant in relation to his involvement with the Catch-22 bar, another licensed establishment in the city.
Well, please, yep.
Okay, I read over the applicant's letter, and in it, he told you that his conviction for the possession of a prescription medication was just acetaminophen. That was a lie. I did research, and he was convicted of possessing Percocet, which is a narcotic, so it wasn't Advil or something minor. It was a pretty substantial drug that he had on him, and it was more than 3 pills. If I remember right, it was 6 or 7 pills that he got caught with. That was an Ishwaubenon case. Going through the applicant's history with the police department, going back all the way to 1994, it seems like once a year or every other year we were having contact with them for various offenses. Some were municipal, some were referred over to circuit court that were charged, some were not charged. The 3 OWIs, as the law department said, one was recent as 2017. In terms of him being part of an owner with Catch-22, I could tell you from my experience working night shift, when this was all going on, we devoted an exorbitant amount of resources responding to that bar based on the 2 bar owners or people on the license not getting along. I'm not placing blame on one or the other. Our concern is if he enters into another agreement with another bar owner or somebody and the business isn't working out, are we going to fall under the same thing where equipment's being removed from a bar, so we're being called there left and right, claiming it's burglaries, claiming it's robberies. I could tell you we probably devoted at his former establishment that he owned easily 50 man-hours at a minimum just to try and deal with the situation. So for all those reasons, the police department recommends denying of this license.
Questions for staff?
Motion open the floor.
Motion open the floor by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Floor is now open. Is there anybody here for this? suppose we should ask that first. Please step up, state your name and address. If you haven't filled out one of the forms, please fill those out before you go.
I'm Jerry McLeod. I'm 3681 Pine Grove Road. Yeah, I made some mistakes back in the future, but a long time ago, but it wasn't like 20 years ago I got my first couple DWIs. I had some problems with an X. And then for Catch-22, I was not involved in all those police calls. I signed off on that bar on February 1st of last year, and ever since then is when it all went downhill from there. I had nothing to do with that. And I won another bar in Hilbert, and I have had that for over a year now, and I have a liquor license for that, and I'm agent on that. And I had no police calls, no nothing on that either.
I think one of the questions I have, your letter, you're speaking on, you know, like, yeah, I was having a tough situation, or, I mean, you were just talking about various things, and it seems to me that, you know, you're apologetic, but I think part of it is, you know, accountability. You know, I just reading this, I didn't feel you were as accountable on some of this. Not making excuses, it was you, but it just seemed to me that you were not as accountable or and responsible as you could have been. And if you can tell me otherwise, I'd like to hear it.
Well, I bought the bar for my brother-in-law and my sister. I've been running for the last couple months now. I just can't do anything with it until I get a liquor license. I don't know, I mean, as far as Catch-22, I mean, I was there for first year. We didn't have no police calls until after the whole mess started with, it was just turned into a big mess, and I had to get out of it. So we wrote up an agreement I signed off on, and that's just when everything turned sour.
Okay, that's all I have right now.
As far as 2017, there was a third OWI.
Yes.
Okay. And you've had this bar in Hobart for a year?
Hilbert.
Hilbert,
I'm sorry.
over a year. I
Okay.
got it last year in December, and I've been operating it for over a year now. I have no police phone calls, I got no problems out there at all.
Okay, any other questions with this? Anything else you care to add?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Steuer.
Somebody else wants to.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
I didn't see.
Christian Knudsen, 1754 Master Court, here. I'm the current license holder of B3. Jerry's my brother-in-law. I wanted to take it over. I think he's capable of doing it. I was around for all of the Catch-22 stuff. I know what happened. He wasn't a part of it. He had restraining orders. She broke them. She was the one going to jail, not him. I don't think you can hold it against him when it wasn't him. So when they opened that bar, it was a 50-50 ownership. She did some shady stuff. She got him removed from the paperwork. Legally, it doesn't show that he ever was a part owner of it, even though he was. Her and her accountant, they did some shady stuff. They got him out. He fought for what he could, but in the end, I mean, the restraining orders were on her, not on him. She's the one that got convicted of all kinds of stuff. She's the one that went to jail for it, not him. He's been running his bar in Hilbert, I think he said over a year now. He's got no issues there, no violations. He's done a really good job of it, and I think he'll do a really good job here. It's a good establishment. We've had it open for almost 2 years now. It's good clientele, and I think he'll do real well there.
So you'd be the co-owner?
Nope, not at all.
You're passing?
I'm passing it over to him completely.
That's what's going on here, okay.
Yep, he's got no partners. It's 100% him, no business partners, no nothing. So I think he'll do well with it. He's proven to be doing well with his other bar. Yeah, I think he'll do well. So that's it.
Any questions? Thank you.
Motion to close close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Steuer, second by Alder Stevens, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Floor is now closed. Gentlemen, any thoughts? Well,
Go ahead, Wes.
I'll jump in then.
You Start off.
Start out, Randy.
Started us out. When there's a co-owner, that can be very sticky wicket, and we've had some other situations similar like that come before us, and it's really tough to sort it through. I think what helps me is two things. One, he's had an establishment elsewhere for a year on his own, no trouble, and he's had someone speak up from here who I dealt with him before. He runs good businesses. He's got a good business acumen. He's vouching for him. I think that helps a lot. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that I wouldn't if it was a double owner situation where we have more difficulty sorting out who did what, it's too difficult to decide that without some other evidence. So for me, I'm willing to set that aside and give him the benefit of the doubt that he was the injured party than the injury party, more the party that was not so much the problem because of these other two things. So I'm looking to accept the appeal.
I think after hearing the testimony, I feel better about it as well. I appreciate you coming forward, so. And after reading the rest of that letter, it sounds like there were really a lot of things that went against you, out of your control. So I concur with Alder Scannell as well. So,
There does seem to be some discrepancies in the letter from what the police report is, like the actual product and the number of pills and so on, but that incident was 20 years ago, correct?
No.
Oh, I'm mistaken.
It was approximately 12 to 13 years ago.
Oh, well, okay, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so,
2006.
yeah. So either way, I don't see that as a factor anymore. I don't think he's doing those pills. There's no evidence that that's an ongoing, whichever story works out fact. And why there's a discrepancy, I don't know. There could be various reasons for that. I don't know if they're necessarily nefarious.
Just to clarify, this isn't an appeal. It's not for an operator's license, it's for a liquor license.
And we're down.
This is not an
This is
available
a-
because it's going from one
Okay.
licensee
Alright.
to another.
To another, right.
It's not an available.
So I would be granting the license.
Correct.
Thank you. Granting the license.
One quick question, Randy, on that. In other words, it involves a 1-year period, is that correct?
Yes, the liquor licenses are renewed once a year, correct.
Okay, I think that after the 12-month period, if things aren't going well, we can deny the
We
license?
can recommend non-renewal and then they would have an opportunity there would have to be.
In other words, that would be a year
hearing,
down the
correct.
road, if things don't go well for the first 12.
Right, but it would have to go through, similar to like a revocation hearing.
Right, it would be a semi-quasi judicial
Correct.
hearing, which is
Correct.
kind of a big deal, but
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I would favor granting him the license and give him another chance.
Is that the motion you did?
is there a motion to that effect?
Need the motion then.
Alder Vanderleest made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alder Steuer. Any further discussion? Do we need to vote on the board, or all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries unanimously. It'll be decided the 18th when it goes to council. Number 12. Consideration with possible action on an application for a Class B combination license by Cavarna Cafe LLC at 143 North Broadway with a licensed premises as kitchen, dining zones, storage cooler, currently licensed as Cavarna LLC. Staff?
Staff has no objections.
Please concur.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Steuer, second by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously.
Okay.
Consideration of possible action on an application by Scallywags High Cotton Club Limited at 121 North Adams Street for reserve Class B combination license with a licensed premises as restaurant bar. Staff?
Yes, so this is for a reserve license. Staff has no objections. It is in the downtown moratorium set by resolution, but they will be operating as a restaurant and therefore qualify for exemptions.
A scrumptious restaurant.
Please concur.
With the scrumptiousness?
That's it.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Vanderleest. Second by Alder Stevens. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Here we go. Consideration of possible action on request by Alder Scannell to create an ordinance regarding vaping. Staff?
At this point, we would just, this is the first time that this is appearing on our agenda. We would just request that the committee refer to staff with direction as to what they would like to see in the ordinance.
Okay. Gentlemen, what would you like to see in the ordinance? Would you like to see an ordinance? Right now.
You brought this forward, right?
Right, I brought this forward.
So why don't you-
Yep, let me give a little background on this. I brought this forward. I was not aware that we did not have an ordinance for minors considering vaping. I know when, several years ago, when vaping first came out, I thought it was a pretty good idea, good product, get people off smoking cigarettes. You didn't have the tars and nicotine with vapes. But since that time, there have been some studies saying there are some health issues perhaps with vaping. I think there needs to be more studies done. And in the meantime, I think if cigarette smoking is illegal for minors, I think for now it'd be wise to also make vaping and paraphernalia illegal for minors as well. Perhaps in time, when we get the science behind it and we find out what the dangers are, if the studies were negligible and it's really not that hazardous, we could maybe rescind that. I don't know if it's a big deal if there are no health concerns, but for now, I think it's better to err on the side of caution. We certainly aren't the first ones to come up with an ordinance. We have an example of one. I would think my direction to staff would be to come up with one that makes it illegal to use vaping and to be caught with paraphernalia. And to sell paraphernalia to minors.
So it's with the minors and.
Only with
Question,
minors.
Only with minors.
Only with minors, yeah.
So you need a motion to that effect? I would make a motion for staff to look at this with what Alder Scannell brought forward as far as the minor being a minor, under 18.
Yep.
So the ordinance would be directed towards the minor themselves or to?
Well,
To the minors themselves and businesses if they're selling to minors.
it's right there.
So to prevent selling to minors and prohibit minors. From having vaping paraphernalia.
Yep.
So that's my motion, yes.
Motion by Alder Steuer. Second by Alder Stevens. Anything else anyone cares to add to any other direction for staff?
That'd be a good start.
I think so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Good in general for any, some of the other communities that do have an ordinance, that they could take a look at.
Yeah, I think the staff will, you know, they'll look at other ordinances, and that's part of the
Bring
process.
something
They, yep. Yep. They know what we want to look at, they'll put it together and do that by various ways. Okay? Ready for some fun? We're ready to go on? Consideration with possible action on request by Alder Scallop to create an ordinance regarding sober servers. Staff?
Yes, so again, this is the first appearance of this item on our agenda. Our recommendation would be to refer to staff with direction from the committee as to what the committee would like to see in this possible offense.
And we again have in our packet, ordinance to work off of if we wish to, and we also I sent out some other materials on this. In support of this, I brought this forward, so let me start with what this is all about. There's been some rumors going around. I'd certainly like to dispel that since I'm the alder for District 7, which includes the downtown, that this is a downtown issue. It's certainly not a downtown issue. This is not coming forward in response to any particular incident with any bar. We are not singling out any bars. We're not trying to go after any bars. This came about going back to the click and go ordinance, in which there were some people who came forward speaking out against that, concerned about making alcohol more available in our community. I disagreed with them on that issue, but began talks with them about concerns about alcohol issues in our community, which I think I share, and the mayor's office has stated his concern, and certain alders who certainly voted against the click and go stated their concern about alcohol issues in our community. I wanted to do something a little more practical, a little more meaningful than just a gesture of saying no to the click and go, which I think only hurt our businesses. I don't think it made one dent at all into the culture of alcohol issues in our community. I brought this forward thinking that this was a small step to make. We do have a policy already with new businesses that they sit down with the police before they come with us before us to get a license, and that's part of the policies they agree to adhere by. That it's just the best smart business practice. And talking to many business owners in the community, they also do this policy of not having their servers partake while they're working. Right here. The reasons for that is several. I mean, it's just not responsible. I mean, they're handling money. They need to be able to monitor other people's drinking. They need to be able to cut people off. They need to be able to manage the establishment. So there's lots of reasons why I feel it's just not responsible for servers to be drinking on the clock. I see this not as get after any particular establishment, but as a step toward addressing alcohol issues in our community. That if we take a mindset of drinking responsibly, I'm not pushing for prohibition, I'm pushing for if you're drinking responsibly, and it's best policy to not have servers drinking, and we've already well on the way to establishing that as a practice in many in our community. Why wouldn't we make it an ordinance to just cross that T and say, this community, we believe, is no longer socially acceptable, is no longer responsible to be drinking with servers on the clock. So there's lots of ways we can look at this. I know there have been several concerns brought up in talking to some of the business owners, and I think some of those are valid, and I'd like to address those. I don't know if I want to go into that until maybe I'll let them speak for themselves, and we can take it from there. But I don't see this as an ordinance that's out to slam a business or make a business difficult, or to make things difficult for our PD, is just a step in a sort of a campaign to drink responsibly. And if you believe in that, and you want to make that sort of a motto of your city, I don't know how you can defend servers drinking on the clock. I'd say that's very irresponsible. So that's the genesis of it all. We'll see where we get.
You have the question to the chief. Or
Yep.
The gentleman, or officer.
Yep. PD?
Can I ask you, is this a major problem in the city of Green Bay as far as the servers being intoxicated? Has there been any calls on it?
I can't remember offhand there being any calls that a bartender or server was so intoxicated they couldn't serve. But I'd have to look back at the data, at our research to see if that has happened.
So overall, they've been doing a pretty good job, most of the servers that are, they're all basically they're licensed servers. In other words, they come forward to get a license and they know the rules.
Correct. I would say 98 or 99%, yeah, do follow the ordinances and the rules and have licenses.
That's my question, and thank you very much.
Yep.
Well, Lieutenant, with that being said, you said 98 to 99%, so this ordinance that Alder Scannell's looking at, like I should maybe talk to you about that. If it's for that 1% or 2%, I mean, I know this is just your thought on it. Does it seem like that it's overbearing on something like that, or, I mean, what's your take?
I personally don't think the ordinance would be overbearing. I believe it would add like another tool in case there is an establishment that is having issues or problems. Not saying we would cite, but it gives us the discretion and another tool to get that bar and the server in compliance to help out, I guess, even as a best business practice like it was already discussed. So it's not something that we would automatically go in and cite and ticket, but if it does become a problem or establishment, it gives us an extra tool to help get them in compliance, and if not, a tool for us to help to seek revocation of their license.
I mean, I'd like to, Randy, you can chime in as well, but I think I'm equating it almost to a Packer game where somebody has too much and they could lose their season tickets. Is it the same type of premise here, where if something would happen at an establishment that they could lose their license?
Eventually, they could if there's enough qualifying calls. It's not, if they do it the first time, I can't imagine them losing their liquor license the very first time. But if we could establish a pattern and it becomes problematic, we would build that case and then come before you to seek for either non-renewal or revocation.
And I would chime in that I would expect that not to really happen. I would expect that to be an extremely rare case. I'm not, again, this isn't a problem in the community we need to address, per se. It's a step in promoting responsible drinking. If you believe in trying to get a handle on the alcohol issues in our community, this seems, if we look at it from that perspective, responsible drinking, what are the practices? What are the policies we want to follow? The ordinances we want to make? It seems to me this is a very simple step in that it's already practically done already. I mean, we're not really upsetting much business behavior already, or pattern. It's already being done. We're just putting a dot on the I and making it official, making it so that if there are some extreme cases, we do have one more tool in the toolbox to address it. But I really look at it more as from the standpoint of the mayor's office, many alders on this city have expressed concerns about alcohol issues in our community. What can we do about it? Well, let's try and do something practical, not just deny, click and go, which I think is totally ineffective as far as changing any kind of behavior with consumption of alcohol. This does change the culture of saying we no longer find it acceptable, responsible behavior to drink with your server. That's it. It's not a big, and I don't think we're going to be making huge waves and changing behavior. is just one small step in a campaign of being responsible drinkers. That's it. That's my take on it. That's how I'm looking at it.
There's a lot of folks that are here.
Yep.
I would make a motion to open the floor.
Motion open the floor by Alder Steuer, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Please state your name and address.
Get mine out of the way first.
Yep.
Don Mildy, 840 South Broadway, Green Bay. My name is Don. I'm also president of the Brown County Tavern League. I aim to speak on a sober server ordinance brought on us today. I'm not the only one. May I please have everyone here on behalf of licensed establishments in Green Bay raise their hand for me. Yeah. Thank you. Sober server is an ordinance that is passed in some municipalities and is being considered here tonight. There are two things I would like to establish here. One, I personally do not allow my bartenders to drink while working in my own establishment. Two, as president of the Brown County Tavern League, I'm here to represent all 160 members in this county with any issue pertaining to their respective establishment. I'd like to start by referring to the liquor violation reports, here protection policy, over the past 6 months. Since September, there have been 0 instances. In mid-August, there was 1. That establishment is now out of business. There are 162 licensed establishments in Green Bay, and in conjunction with law enforcement, there has not been an issue about any incident in any current establishment. There's a lot to be said for that responsible behavior for businesses in this city. Additionally, the Brown County Tavern League Safe Ride program has over doubled in the past year, and is on pace to do so again during this cycle. The licensed establishments in this area I have found are working together to promote safe and responsible drinking practices, and that is evident by recent statistics. I am also a chair on the Brown County Traffic and Safety Commission, where we performed place of last drink study over the past year. The place of last drink looked at over all of the 914 OWI arrests in Brown County. That's a big number. But we have some interesting results. Over the past year, there were less people coming from a licensed establishment than people that came from a house or home, or refused or other, which would be drugs, etc., because it's operating while intoxicated. Matter of fact, the last quarter showed a 2/3 to 1/3 margin in the favor of a licensed establishment, less coming from us. Alcohol-related fatalities in Brown County are also the lowest they've been in at least 14 years. Even talking with local law enforcement today, I was told that not only is this not a major concern, like the lieutenant alluded to, but if there's a situation where an incident in a licensed establishment needs to be addressed, a bartender would be less likely to call law enforcement for fear of a citation, and that could lead to a bigger problem. Once again, we're talking about 162 different businesses in the city. Many don't allow their staff to consume on the job. Some will enjoy a beverage during the last hour of work with their patrons. Some want to be able to help their place if they've had a couple. And some want to be able to continue to work with law enforcement exclusively without an ordinance from the city. What I'm saying is this: if there is a problem with sober serving in Green Bay, I would consider the legislation you're bringing forth today. The bar owners and bartenders are working well with law enforcement in this area, and the direction the relationship going is clearly visible. This could turn or progress in the opposite direction. And we aren't addressing an issue here because, as Randy said, there isn't one here. So, thank you very much.
Just had a quick
Question?
question.
Yep, question?
Thanks, Don, for coming in.
Thank
You
you.
said there's 162 establishments in Green Bay. How many in Brown County again?
398.
398, okay.
And rising by the sound of it.
Right. And, of course, you know, we've gone through a number of things with alcohol in this community over time. And I think when you look at Green Bay, I mean, you've got stretches where you have many, many establishments. I live on the west side, and there's very little. So I guess, you know, I know a standpoint. I'm really interested in just hear what the other folks have to say.
Yeah.
So I'll reserve for that.
As well.
But I'm just saying.
Which is wide open.
So I'm gonna leave it for that.
Okay, thanks.
I'm good.
And I want to reiterate, there's not a problem in Green Bay. This isn't coming forward because there's a problem in Green Bay. It's coming forward for other purposes, and this isn't a slam. I think bar owners are doing a great job, and they're working well with the police. We've made some great strides, I think, over the past 10 years, and this is not in any way a slam or a problem that I see. It's not meant to pose per se as solving a problem specifically. It's, if you say responsible drink, well, save that for later. We've got the floor open, that's your people.
Actually, I had a quick question to ask Randy, and you may have alluded to it already, but as far as, did someone approach you on this?
Yes.
Okay.
This came from
From someone else?
Someone else, yep.
Okay, and they may be here to speak, maybe.
Someone from them might be, yes. He's not.
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
Yep, so,
Floor
go ahead,
is open.
anybody else? Please state your name and address.
Trevor Commons, 1105 Clough Street. I have 3 liquor licenses in this town. The last thing I remember you saying was, there's not a problem. If there's not a problem, what are we trying to fix? I think it's you're overstepping your bounds slightly when you're telling business owners of this community how to run their business. One of the bars I own is Ned Kelly's. I have 20 bartenders there. Every night or every day on the schedule, I highlight somebody who is to remain sober. I have staff members there who are not allowed to drink. And as a general rule of practice, I don't let anybody, or they're not supposed to consume more than 1 drink per hour. We take a lot of steps into keeping our staff sober, safe. A lot of them take Ubers home if they have been consuming. And I don't feel like, well, our record proves that we haven't had any issues with alcohol or drinking servers. That all being said, I see where this is going elsewhere in the state, and I'm not necessarily 100% against it, but what I'm adamant about is that you don't hold us as owners responsible. I remember being a 21 or 22-year-old kid, and back then I worked at Kittner's. Right when Jim and Jane, the owners then, made their staff go sober, a lot of the staff at Kittner's would go over to the Stein and get loaded before going into their shift. So we got to be careful, because then we might be promoting this. Another thing that could come from this is, well, are the owners allowed to drink and the servers aren't? Well, then why, as a bar owner, we could just say, oh, well, this person's part owner, this person's part owner, this person's part owner, and you could go down the line of an employee-owned bar, and you're going to be in trouble there as well. So, just a couple things to think about as you guys discuss this.
Question?
A quick question.
Go ahead.
Thanks for coming in again.
Yeah.
So how many servers do you have at Ned Kelly's, for example? Is it 20?
Roughly 20.
Okay. And you're stating more or less that, you know, every bar owner is going to be a little different. You know, there's no rules or regulations. It seems like you can, you know, you're the business, you know, you try to run it as well as you can. I guess my question is, how, of those folks, you said maybe 1 drink per hour? Was that what you stated? That they're allowed?
We advise, yeah, because we learn in the responsible beverage program that, after 1 drink per hour, if you consume more, that you're legally intoxicated. So that was just something that we put in our employee handbook to minimize it.
I would think that would be hard to monitor if you have 20, well.
Absolutely.
Not at once.
Well, right, how many do you have at one
On
time?
a Friday or Saturday night, say 8 or 9.
8 or 9,
Yeah.
okay. That's still a number.
Yep.
You know, and to have somebody watch that, that's not always easy, so it really behooves the owner to really kind of have it under control.
Absolutely.
I think.
I agree.
So, that's all I have.
Have you looked at any of the other ordinances around the state?
I know that a few years ago that Appleton put it through, and then like a year following that, De Pere put it through, and that's about the extent
I don't
of
think
my knowledge.
Appleton made it through.
Oh, then I'm completely wrong. That's all hearsay then.
They tried.
Okay.
So
They went down in flames.
De Pere has?
But, okay. Some of them have a percentage of acceptable alcohol in the blood as part of the ordinance, so that is not, when we say sober, we're
Okay.
not saying stone cold sober. Would that ease some of your concern if there was?
Yeah, and I agree with the police officers too. If there's a problematic bar that they're looking to shut down, then if drinking sober or sober servers is a problem, I like that as another tool for them to use. But as you alluded to earlier, and so did the president of the Tavern League, there really isn't a problem. So I guess that's what my main concern is what we're trying to fix.
Well, okay, I'll save that for later. Go ahead,
Okay,
thank you.
thank
Yep.
Robert Heinrichs, 1807 Lost Dolphin Road in De Pere. I'm with 1106 Main Street in Green Bay. I've been operating since 1996 with different establishments in the city. I'm going to piggyback on what Don and Trevor said. There really isn't that an issue that I've seen with this. It's self-regulating. You don't want someone who's going to be a problem server. Why would you want them working for you if they are? I think it should be up to the owners to decide that. I think what Trevor kind of alluded to is you could get into a slippery slope here of where the ordinance goes if it's not written correctly. If you did go somewhere, are we talking about .02? Are we talking about .08? Are we talking about .00? And there's a lot of areas you can go. Then what happens if people go for dinner beforehand? If they have a couple drinks beforehand, they show up for their shift, and for some reason there's an incident, please show up. Person is over whatever limit you guys set. So I just think my concern is that this go to an odd place, and then also like we have about 8 to 9 people on also on a weekend night, and if you can't control them all because you can't see them all at the same time, are you holding the establishment responsible for the individual's actions? I know it's our jobs to control that, but you could potentially put an owner in a really bad position for an irresponsible person who can quickly take a drink, a shot of something without, concealing it, and then also you're going into drugs. I mean, if we're talking about OWIs, are we talking about drugs in their systems also? I just don't know. I think it should be regulated by the owners the way it has been, and it hasn't been a problem. I think we working well. I joined the Tavern League. I think everybody probably should. We work well with the police department for that, and I think working more in a partnership with that is a better way to go than looking at drafting an ordinance to solve a problem that may not exist. Any questions, John?
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Yes.
How many folks work for you?
Probably 15 to 17
And
altogether.
At one time?
8 to 9.
8 to 9. And you consider that, what is that number that is a saturation point as far as trying to monitor, folks at all? I mean, you're not going to be staring at them every second, I understand that.
No, but you have managers.
Is there a certain saturation point as far as numbers of people?
Well, that way,
to
you
watch?
have different levels of management.
Yeah.
If that's what you're talking about, a supervisory activity.
And this seems to open up a can of worms too, because now you're looking at, you mentioned that there's people that come in that might have had a drink or two somewhere else, and then they come into work. So, I mean, is there any, normally will your servers come in and they'll be ready to go? And
Oh, almost all the time. But
Yeah.
I'm saying you could open it up to a different situation where you would have someone, if you put them in a situation where they didn't have drinks, as Trevor alluded with Situation Kittners, if they would go and drink beforehand, we'd be to a point where we'd give them a breathalyzer when they come in, and then alcohol doesn't take effect immediately. I mean, you could have someone who came in on the shift and they seem completely fine, and then it hits them down the line.
they've got apps out there too, where depending if you're a man or a woman, size,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
all
that's
that,
very
and that
helpful.
you can take that, but there's liabilities that come into play with that as well, so. Anyway, it would seem that, most folks are responsible here, so you're just saying that you feel that it shouldn't be regulated.
Yes.
So as
Thank you for your
owner-
time.
So as an owner, do you allow your staff to drink?
They can, yes.
Thank you.
No one else?
Anthony Oshis, 08 East Alloway Avenue in Green Bay. I own the Libertine in downtown as well as Proof and De Pere. My questions today are more of gross government oversight as I see it. My first question in my paper is, why is this a problem in general? It sounds like it's not. It sounds like it's a very small percentage of the calls, if any at all. And I wonder why it's even being held or brought forward. I also have with me documents from the law department in UW, Wisconsin. This comes directly from their website, Wisconsin Alcohol Policy Project. I quote directly from there saying, a sober server ordinance alone will at best have minimal impact on drunk driving or binge drinking rates. I question again why we're here discussing it if it's not an issue. I believe that the tavern owners should be able to regulate themselves, especially if it's not an issue. If it is an issue, then it does need to be addressed, but it doesn't sound like it is. I am for a demerit system in which if there are problem bars or problem establishments that they need to be addressed, bad actors need to be taken out of the scene as a whole. In May of 2013, I believe the same proposal was suggested. Is that correct?
I think so. I don't know much about that.
It was dropped, and I asked what has changed from then to now to bring it back up again. And if there's any data to support if problems have gone up or gone down. And the socially acceptable aspect of it is it socially acceptable to whom and by which standards are we holding ourselves to?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Anthony, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I had one bartender I talked to recently on the phone about this issue, and I don't know if it's just a matter of the type of business that you have. You know, I mean, you have a lot of different type of mixed drinks that take time to make. You know, there are a lot of establishments that might have a beer and a shot, you know. So I'm just saying, in your case, it would seem that most of your drinks are, you know, take a lot of time to make. And I don't know, there's probably no data on that type of thing. I'm just making an observation. What this bartender told me,
Yes, sir.
that there's certain establishments that will make those type of drinks. Takes a long time to do it. Other establishments, shot in a beer kind of thing. It's a lot easier to disseminate that out to people. So, just an observation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's all.
Yep.
Do you allow your staff to drink?
I do, sir.
Okay.
We haven't had issue.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, thank you. Hi.
Kim Glover, 1631 Ontario Road. I've been doing this business now for well over 25 years. I have 3 places. When I lease 2, I operate myself, and I have bartenders that have been with me for 20 plus years because you get to know the people, they become a family. And I guess with us, we're just shot in a beer kind of place. We kind of monitor ourselves, you know, it's my job to watch them, and it's their job also to watch them, because when one of us gets in trouble, we all get in trouble. So that's how we have our things going, you know. Someone starts to get a little out of hand, hey, nip it in the butt, or guess what, you're gone. It's that simple. That's how we do it.
So you have how many establishments? Right
I
now?
operate 2, I own 3.
Okay, what can you tell me?
Someplace else in University, job site on Cass Street, and Packer Stadium Lounge on Broadway.
Did you have other places before that? No? Okay. All right, and your servers are allowed to drink on the job?
And I work right along with them, and, you know, I like to partake a little.
But, you know, I know when it gets busy, it's like anything else, and it gets crowded, it's a little hard to monitor that type of thing, so.
Well, and that's
you know.
why we police ourselves, you know, these guys have enough to do without having to worry about it. I mean, this is my business, it's my job to watch this. I understand with the bigger places, they have a harder time, but us little places, we can take care of ourselves. I mean, they don't even know we exist.
All right, that's all I have.
My name is Ron LeMay. I live at 1448 Grignon Street in Green Bay, Greenhill. I want to preface this by I'm neither a bar owner nor a bartender anywhere in Brown County. I do drive Lyft. And I have to say that the last couple of years, what I've seen is bartenders, bar owners are doing a lot better job than they ever did before in this area. When I transport somebody, they're not sloppy drunks anymore. And I occasionally, on a regular basis actually transport the bartenders, bar servers at the end of the night. And very seldom do I find an inebriated server. Law enforcement says it is 1, maybe 2%. I haven't seen that in my experience. Plus, my concern is with this proposal is that you're trying to preemptively legislate social behavior. And that's really not, like I say, they're doing a heck of a job. I don't believe that the ordinance is needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening.
Evening.
I'm Jeff Hunter, 715 South Broadway. We operate Rum Runners. I'm one of the kind of newcomers to all this. We've only been doing that for 4 years. We are also one of the smallest. And we have anywhere from 5 to 8 employees on the full staff at any time, and often it's one person that's running the bar. It has happened where somebody gets called home and someone else has to step in. And that's often somebody who's just finished a shift and maybe having an after drinks. But I can't imagine that any of my staff would ever be driving the bar with with too much to drink. And we take great care to do that. I believe that that's what all the owners do, because you have a lot of responsibility in your hands for the till, for the supplies, and then especially for your patrons. And I think we have done an exceptionally good job, and we keep hearing it over and over again, even from you, Randy. This has not been a problem, we will continue to monitor ourselves. We will continue to help each other with this stuff, and I think that it's overkill at this point.
Bob, well, question?
Yes.
Question, yep.
Do you allow your staff to drink?
The staff can drink, but they have parameters.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Chris Knudsen, 74 Maxwell Court. I allow my bartenders to drink. I have 15 bartenders, anywhere from 4 to 6 on staff at a time. Occasionally, during the early day, there'll be 1 or 2. Again, you said it, I don't think it's a problem. If it becomes a problem for an establishment, the police department already has a stipulation form. So why not bring something like that in? If you have a problem, address it that way. Have your bartenders go without drinking if it's a problem. If it's not, let us make our business decisions.
I think what Lieutenant had brought up, it was just another tool, is to make it easier for them. So you're thinking that you don't need that, you could just directly work with the police?
I think, as bar owners, it's only in our best interest not to have sloppy drunks behind the bar. If that's the if we don't solve it and it becomes a problem, address it on a case-by-case basis, if anything. But it's not a problem, so exhaust how many resources on a problem that doesn't exist.
That's what we got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex Beard, 726 Elmore Street, Green Bay. Also Rum Runners, from Rum Runners. I agree, obviously, with them as well, due to us policing our bartenders and making sure our bar is, tip-top shape as much as we can. But I also have a different aspect on things, too. I was once a bouncer. Being a bouncer, we were also trained to look at situations like that as well, for especially being for bigger bars as like Ned Kelly's or other places like that possibly would have bouncers or not. I bounced at Shenanigans, which is now Main Street Bourbon Room. I never really had a situation where I had to stop a bartender specifically because noticing if they're drinking too much. There was points where I could have if it got to a certain point, but for just that aspect itself as being in the bar business other than being a bouncer, we do police ourselves quite well. And a lot of the times the owners are in the establishment throughout the day, in and out. That's Jeff and I. We do that periodically for Rum Runners. Sometimes during the weekends we have multiple bartenders. So and we're usually there to bar back or kind of keep an eye on everything. So. That's just my aspect on things on the other side of being just an owner per se, of being a bouncer. So.
Question? Thank you.
because I mentioned one more thing. Currently in the Chapter 33 Municipal Code of the City of Green Bay, there's a debarrent system in place. And I believe there's 6 points for disorderly house. And if I'm not mistaken, this would probably qualify under disorderly house. Also, it'd be 13 points of this disorderly house that leads to the closing of an establishment, which obviously, if there was somebody too intoxicated to run an establishment and close down, it'd be a serious issue that'd be taken up with the city. I feel like something like this is already in place, and to continue to let us work with law enforcement to address any issue as it comes up. Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Excuse me. My name is Lawrence Nakoto. I'm going to give you two addresses. My home address is 2067 Marley Lane. I live in Ashwaubenon. I also have an office here in Green Bay. That's 812 Fisk Street. I want to thank all of you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm afraid, though, what I have to say may not be as popular to everybody else in the audience.
But if you could just address
You have
the
to
chair.
talk to us.
I'm sorry.
They'll hear you.
I would just ask that I have a chance to speak.
Yep. You're up.
To begin with, I'd like to give you an idea of who stands before you. I have been in the professional field, if you will, for human services over half my life, 35 plus years. And I've made a specialty of working with people who struggle with and have had problems in their life because of alcohol and other drugs, but mostly alcohol. Currently, I consult with and work with Point Beach Nuclear Plant, the Door County District Attorney's Office, the Department of Corrections, Department of Transportation. I am referred to by the state of Wisconsin with the Public Defender's Office as their expert witness. In addition, I work with many attorneys in the Wisconsin area, and I travel to several county jails throughout the state and provide clinical assessments with people who are there being held. Also, I worked in law enforcement for 21 years, and I worked in a town with 5,000 people or so, and our bars were open till 4 in the morning. We were busy. I'd like to say to the people that came up here that thank you for sharing what you did share, and I'm very relieved that there are very responsible servers and responsible bar owners. And I was very glad to hear that, especially at a time where the issue of alcohol and drug problems and even obesity is worse than it's ever been in our history. And I think we have to take steps to do whatever we can as responsible community members, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, leaders, to try to slow down this issue, this problem that's devastating this country and this state, this city and this county. 2+ OWI arrests a day in 2018. Maybe that's down. That's okay, I guess. Okay? And yes, most of the servers are probably fine, but we need to do something to set limits, to have this discussion and be sure that the individuals who are providing this mind-altering substance are in their right mind. It doesn't take much alcohol to affect our ability to make good decisions. Very little at all, actually. About 0.02 to 0.04. Our ability to make decisions and not to experience being out of control with our impulses, and our inhibitions are lowered at a very low level. So 1 beer an hour will do that. We need people who are serving this substance to other people to be in their right mind, be able to make right decisions like that, and to be able to manage individuals who may not be manageable. And so I feel that this is not a bad ordinance to consider. I feel it's in the right direction for our community. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Travis Ingles, 622 Skyline Boulevard, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I am part owners in Nines, Kittners, and Stirrups, downtown Green Bay. My question is, has anyone looked into the actual enforcement of the ordinance and how much that would cost? Personally, we do allow our bartenders to consume alcohol while working to an extent. If at any point in time that they are visibly intoxicated noticeably, or there is a complaint, we deal with those issues in-house. They could face termination. Upon employment, they sign an employee handbook that goes through all the rules that we have as an establishment. At the end of the night, they all come to one bar. If anyone is noticeably intoxicated in any shape or form, I have a one-on-one conversation with them, and they could face termination. All of our tills are, you push a button, the till opens, you do the math in your head. We trust all of our employees. If you were intoxicated while drinking, you wouldn't be able to do that. We also have roughly 70 employees at any given time between the three bars. Each night we have on approximately 30 between bartenders, bouncers. Bouncers are 100% sober. They're not allowed to drink during, before their shifts. The bartenders, like I said, they're allowed to consume a few drinks per shift, 4 beers. Normally their shifts are anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. They're allowed to have 4 beers per shift, 4 shots per shift, or 2 mixed drinks, which equates to 4 shots. Again, we manage this in-house. We have not had issues. I would like to know, I guess, how the ordinance is going to be enforced. If it's going to be on the establishment, the police, how much that would cost. And again, if there is no issue, why are we trying to move forward with this? Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Sure. We're still under Don.
Don, could you come up? Okay, I mean, we're hearing a lot from these folks that, responsibility and such. I think with the ordinance that Randy's been talking about, there would be some consistency at least with the police, and that it would be kind of across the board for everybody. With the Brown County Tavern League, is there anything, it seems like everybody kind of self-polices themselves. So is there anything that the Brown County Tavern League has on the books that says, okay, this is kind of the way things should be done, or is it up to them?
Yeah, very good question. The thing in our industry is that we're all neighbors. There's people that have spoke here that aren't members of the Tavern League that do run good businesses around here. What happens is if there's a problem bar, we all know about it. And the police, law enforcement does a good job of letting us know about it too. If there's one bad seed, it can ruin the whole batch. So we like to work together to try to dissipate any instance of that happening anywhere else.
Right, and that's great. I appreciate that effort. But like I said, there's really nothing written or anything. It's just, trust and doing that type of thing.
Same as anybody running their own business. I mean, you trust people that are working with you to do the right job.
Okay. That's what I have. Thanks.
Quick question for you
Yes.
before you leave. On the people that are intoxicated that are within the Tavern League Association, if you have got somebody that's intoxicated and they want to ride home, do you offer that?
We try to condone using the Safe Ride program for staff, but we like to leave it open to patrons because we only get so much grant money from the state, and we do many fundraisers for that. It has been done before, and it doesn't get done on a regular basis. Usually people pay for their own rides. The Lyft or Uber driver that was here earlier said that he's seen less of a problem than ever before. So
Yeah, I think that, as far as, helping out the patrons that are intoxicated, and I know you do it around New Year's Eve and different holidays, I think it's a great service.
it's over doubled here. It's over 2,500 over the last year. I actually integrated Lyft into the Safe Ride program. It was just using the voucher system for cabs. And that is, just got passed through in La Crosse, which used over 8,000 last year, and now it's going to be statewide, hopefully by spring, to where every county can use this as an additional service. So, good stuff.
Good job on that end.
I think one other point, you know, at the end of the night, a lot of times folks will say, look, I can drive, whether it's the bartender or whoever, if they've had a little bit too much. Is there anything in place that, at establishments to leave the vehicle there?
Yeah,
With a little placard of some sort saying, pick
there are-
it up tomorrow?
Very good. There are different establishments that leave, they leave notes on people's windshield wipers the next day. I've actually, I'm going to start working with the city on like a safe park initiative, like, hey, their car parked in the street, they got a good ride home. Obviously, we don't want to condone this behavior, but we want to reward the fact they didn't drive home. And as we did in our media, our commercials that we did over the Christmas season, we just remind everybody, just leave the keys at home. That's the easiest thing to do. When you come out at night, just leave the keys, take a cab, Uber, or Lyft ride. That way you don't have that false sense of interpretation where I can drive home after I've had a few.
That seems to be a good thing, but, we had pushback also in case of snow emergencies, leaving cars out, that type of thing. So there's all sorts of issues.
I think culturally, it's gotten a lot better in this area than it has 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's still moving in the right direction. And I mean, it's not going to change overnight, but I mean, steps like this is leading it to a better tomorrow. So,
thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Vandelis.
Second.
Second by Alder Steuer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Floor is now closed. Well, I would just like to, again, kind of focus what it is I'm trying to do here, what I think we're trying to do here, is a lot of people are saying there's no problem and we're problem focused. There is no problem. I don't want us to be problem focused. Then what are we doing here? What we are doing here is a bit of social engineering. We're trying to work on attitudes. We're looking for, at a bigger picture here of responsible drinking. If you put yourself in that frame of mind, responsible drinking, and then we ask questions from that. Do we say, is it responsible for people working with heavy equipment? Is it okay for them to go out and have a supper and drink a couple and then come into work? Well, no, that's still not acceptable. For the police, for the fire, is that acceptable? Well, I don't think we would agree that that's responsible drinking, that behavior. And so I would ask you to try to get in that mind frame and ask yourselves, is it responsible for servers to be drinking? We seem to be getting yes and no here. And I think we can craft a law that covers some of that ambivalence and some of those concerns. If there's a rush, or if there's, it's okay to drink just a little, we can, and most of these laws do have, it's okay to have an alcohol percentage of 0.4%. I think that would be something I'd ask staff to look into as to a possibility including that in crafting our law. I think the server should be fine. That's what we do if they serve a minor. I think this is all on the server. They're responsible. I don't think we need to be punishing the owners. I think if the server's fine, just like if they're serving a minor, the owners are now aware of that. They'll take action. They'll be responsible. And if they're not, then I think the police have other tools that they can use besides this one as well to work with that owner. I really don't see this law as really making much of a difference on how you're running your business or having interactions with the police. There's questions about the cost of this. There's not going to be any cost to this. The police are not going to be going in looking for servers that are drunk. We're not doing a sweep. There's no problem here. We're not addressing a problem. We're addressing an attitude, a social attitude, that it's okay to drink with your server, it's okay for servers to drink. We closed the floor.
Well, do you wanna-
We can open the floor again, but let me just finish up. Hold your thought. So that's what we'll discuss here, and I think we will ask staff to look at this and come up with a law, and I'd ask you to consider what we come up with and to get yourselves in that frame of mind and come back, and then we need to decide as a community what's our values and what we want, and however we decide is however this law will go.
I'd like to weigh in, Randy, whenever you get done.
Do we want to open the floor? Do we want to?
Motion to open
We
the
can
floor.
open the floor first.
First, okay, all right, motion to open the floor by Alder Steuer. Second, I'll second. Second by myself. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Floor is now open. If you haven't filled out a page, please fill one out and state your name and address.
Dee Dee Klug, 3330 Wiggins Way. I wasn't going to talk today, I was just sitting here to listen, because we are new to the business. We've only been in business for 2.5 years, but in my time, I have seen aldermen and presidents of companies go out to lunch and have a cocktail. You know, happens every day. And we go to work. We have a cocktail. We do have a rule at our bar. You're not allowed to be drunk, but they are allowed, shaking dice, to have an easy shot. They're not doing Crown. They're doing easy things. We are responsible enough to watch our business. If you guys go out to lunch, you have a glass of wine with lunch, come back to the office, same thing. You're respecting yourself, that you're good to do your job. Let us do our job.
So, having an ordinance that allows a certain percentage of alcohol, that would cover that, but you're still uncomfortable with that?
Well, are you gonna do 0.08,
0.04.
0.04?
That's what the research has, there's been research on this.
You know,
and
but
that's
you
what
go
the
out to
research-
lunch, you have 2 cocktails, go back to work, you're gonna be over 0.04. We work a 4 to 10-hour shift. You gotta let us run our business. Deal with the problem, people, like everyone said, we don't have a problem. So why are we here? There is no problem. You're gonna make a problem by trying to enforce a problem onto a problem that's not a problem. You know what I mean?
Let me ask. Dee Dee, thanks for coming in. How many folks work for you?
We have 5 bartenders and 3 cooks.
Okay, so at any given time, how many do you have?
There would be 1 bartender, 1 cook.
So it's easy to monitor at
Yep.
least a lot.
And we have fired people for
Right.
being drunk behind the bar. It's right in our employee expectations. You're drunk behind my bar, you're fired.
Now, is a perception that, you know, and I'm getting a little of that feel from some of the other people, but as far as you're concerned, is a perception that if people, that the servers aren't allowed to have a drink occasionally with the customers, that'll change the dynamic between the server and and the client, so to speak?
It does. We have 1 bartender who refuses to drink. So somebody comes and plays bar dice, they want somebody to take that shot. She okays it with the client before she gives her shot away to somebody else.
But like
You
I
know-
said, there, you know, and I understand that,
But
there's...
people like to
there's
drink
no-
with their server.
Right.
Right, that's what we're trying to change.
But
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
you're
say-
forcing it on us when you want to change the attitude of people. You need to change the attitude of people who go to the bars and drink. They want to drink with their server if they're shaking dice.
Well, I saw the floor. You know, there was, you know, I don't know how to say this nicely. I mean, you know, Green Bay has a lot of taverns. There's a lot of activity. And the police have talked about things. We've had drunk driving deaths. Not a lot, but we've had them. And we were voted the drunkest city in America, what, a year ago or 2 years ago?
This year.
A
This
year
past
ago?
year.
Yep.
So all I'm saying is that, you know, some people celebrated that, like, hey, here we are, look at us. And I'm not saying you are, but what I'm saying is that there's a bit of a thought process out there that, hey, let's go to Green Bay, we can really do it, have it on, you know, so.
You know, those are customers. That's not your
No.
bar owners or your bar staff.
Okay, well,
Some
I'm just
are
saying.
customers.
Right, and I'm just saying that,
And
you
you're
know,
imposing
it's a
something on, that's
perception.
not an issue.
There's perceptions out there in the community. Some people accept it, other people just blow it off like, oh, that's just whatever. So I'm just saying this out
But the
there.
drunkest town in America, Green Bay, it's not your bar owners, it's not your bar staff. It's Green Bay.
Of course, you know, people are serving those people too, so.
But, you know, a safer ride, I mean, as bar owners, we are doing what we can to keep them people off the road. And like Don said, most of them are coming from home and house parties. So it's not all us.
Right, okay, good.
No other questions? Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I'm gonna say one thing real quick.
Sure, yep, go ahead.
Again, Jeff Hunter from 715 South Broadway. This absolute sobriety, the idea of that, it does open everything to interpretation. And what your intentions are at this point, they're very noble, and they're, you know, they're really open. But we have all seen throughout history, we've seen how people begin to change what those intentions were. And, you know, it could become a point where someone who's in charge decides to start picking on places and going in and, you know, trying to find people who are just having one drink, or, you know, who may have walked into it. So I think that you have to be careful about how this might be utilized farther down the line. And I think that's what all of us are a little worried about, is that this could turn into a Pandora's box.
Which
I appreciate you thinking about that.
Yep.
Thanks again.
Yep.
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor.
May I say one more
Oh,
thing?
you betcha, yep.
Pardon my intrusion. I just want to say one more thing. Lawrence Nakoto from Green Bay, Ashwaubenon. I am a member of the Brown County Alcohol Drug Coalition for Change. And we are a group of people who meet every month, and we have an agenda with committees to assist in making healthy changes in our communities with relation in particular to alcohol, but also drugs. And I'm here on behalf of that coalition because we are concerned about this issue of alcohol in our community. And we feel very strongly that any decision in the right direction is going to assist in addressing this issue and this problem in our community and helping to improve it is the right decision. Yeah, there are people that go to lunch and have a glass of wine. I get it. I don't. But I'm not a prude either. The difference is that the people who are serving these mind-altering substances are people that we depend on to be in their right mind, to manage and to help and to keep people safe within their establishment and in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by
I'm
Alder
worried.
Sawyer, second by Alder Stevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I think I said my two bits mostly. Any other thoughts here?
Yes, sir. My thoughts are that, hearing from the police department, that we don't have a real big issue with this problem. It sounds to me like the tavern owners are doing a good job. I'm not in support of the ordinance of adding another ordinance. I think I know Green Bay and Brown County might have noted that we're the drunkest city in Green Bay, but I don't feel that the bar owners are creating this problem. From all information that we just heard here, it doesn't sound like it's a big problem. So I'm not in favor of, changing an ordinance or adding another ordinance. I think that bar owners are responsible in the city of Green Bay. And if we had like 20 citations, or 20 or 25 or 30 citations, I'd say, hey, we got a real problem here. I feel that we don't have a problem on this end. I think the Tavern League, as far as offering, ride share to get people home that are intoxicated different times, and I think that just adding another ordinance, I feel that we don't really need it at this time. From what we've heard as far as the number of incidents, it don't sound like there's hardly any. So I'm not in favor of supporting another ordinance, and I think that, tavern owners are doing a good job at this point, and I'm not in favor of adding any more ordinances. Thank you.
Anything?
I concur with him.
Huh?
I'm with him.
Oh, that's fine. Yep, fine.
I'd like to mention too that, first of all, thanks for everybody coming out and speaking. It was overwhelmingly against. It was like 10-1. But with that being said, I think a comment that Ron LeMay made, if he's still here, You just mentioned about this preemptive legislation, if you will, and I thought about that for a second. I think that's, none of us wants to see people driving drunk on the streets. We don't, accidents, we don't want any of that, and we don't want to, be, oh, we're the drunkest city in America. But I think with this particular ordinance, I think to preemptively legislate is a little difficult. I know that maybe we're looking for a paradigm shift here, that, people need to learn how to control themselves and figure out things that way, but I think in a case like this, I'm gonna have to concur with Alders Vanderleest and Stevens on this one as well. Thank you.
I do want to bring up, I did speak with an owner, that I told him I would bring up his concerns. He's for this. His only concern is that it just covers the city, and he believes it should be a state initiative, which I think is a valid point to bring up. Unfortunately, we only can cover the city, so I think that is certainly something to be concerned about. I think I'm going to start looking at perhaps putting a resolution together for the state to take such action. We'll see where that goes. But for now, that was his concern, and I wanted to make sure that was put on record. For myself, I guess I'll make a motion that staff look to create an ordinance where we find the servers, where we allow an alcohol level of 0.04%. I don't know if there's really much else on the ordinance. What we need from...
So that's your motion?
Well, I just want to make sure there's anything else from staff here. Is there any other direction that would be useful that you're looking at right now?
Just craft something and bring it forward.
Yeah, okay. And again, I think if you're looking at this from a problem-specific standpoint, you're missing the boat. We're not addressing a problem in that sense. This is a general look at we have the drunkest city in Green Bay. What can we do about that? We can promote responsible drinking. What is responsible drinking? Well, I think looking at servers and saying it's irresponsible for them to be drinking on the job is not a big step, since it's already, by everyone here, considered best practice. And we're not necessarily saying they can't have, they gotta be teetotalers. We can go up to 0.04%. It's, what are our values? And that's what we're focusing on, and that's what we're trying to implement here. You are doing a great job. This is not a slam against you. This is not an attempt to fix a problem that doesn't exist, or to go out and harass you in any size, shape, or form. The police have got enough to do. They're probably going to be, this would probably come up through, if they're called for a service call. This might also come up if the server served a minor and was also intoxicated. Might be why they served a minor. And then I think it would be appropriate for that server to be dinged for that as well. So think of our values. Think of, is this worthwhile? I think changing an attitude, not only publicly. It's not okay for servers to drink. It's not okay for me to drink with my server. Is that what we want as a community? Yes or no? It's up to you. It's up to the community. I'm bringing this forward. I think it's worth bringing forward and having this discussion. Where we go is where we go. So, that's my 2 bits. And I find it interesting that people who voted against Click and Go to make a statement about alcohol are now opposed to taking an actual real step that addresses attitudes towards alcohol. One of the reasons this came forward was the concern of Alders and the mayor's office about alcohol in our community and what we can do in a positive way to address it. I think responsible drinking is it. Maybe this is a part of it, maybe it's not. We'll see.
I think after hearing what the police said, that it's 98, 99%, I heard a lot of, we listened to testimony, Randy, from a
Again,
lot of-
it's
lot of
not
folks.
a problem.
So,
It's
and I know
not-
you've mentioned that on numerous occasions, so, and we got the point. We understand where you're
Well,
coming
then
from.
why bring it up?
The what?
Then why keep bringing it up as an
Who's
issue?
bringing it up?
You just did.
I-
Okay, go on,
You-
finish
no,
up.
no.
I'm out of order, finish.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and this is your opinion. So, and you said you had some direction from another owner, if you will. I was on a drug alcohol task force after that couple passed some years ago. So, I think it is important that we are responsible all the way around. However, I think in this case, I just feel that with the Brown County Tavern League and the way things are shaping up, that they're on the right path, and they are working along with the police departments. And, there's a good relationship there, and they will self-monitor. So I think there's a strong push for that. Is it perfect? No. But I think in this case, I'm going to continue with what Alder Vanderleest and Alder Stevens stated. So that's where I stand.
Well, I made a motion to staff.
You made a motion.
Yep.
Right.
Is there a second? So the motion fails.
So motion, did I make a motion to deny?
It'd be received and placed on file.
Receive and place on file, correct?
Yep.
Yes, so the
Okay.
motion,
Motion by Alder Steuer is received and placed on file.
1 second. I just need to, there isn't an option for a motion to fail for lack of second,
Yep.
Oh,
so I have to adapt.
okay.
That's not in there?
No, you have to, the way that it's set up, you have to do a motion and a second, or it won't let you advance. Or close out the window. And now we have a motion by Alder Steuer to receive and place on file.
And the second?
Second.
Second by Alder Vanderleest. Don't need to vote.
Start vote, or roll call vote?
Yep.
Should be up.
Yes vote is
The
receive and
yes
place
vote
on.
Yep,
is
yes,
to receive and place
oh.
on
Place on
file.
file.
Alder Steuer, would you like to change
Yes,
this?
I'd like to change it, I
To a
apologize.
yes vote. That passes to receive and place on file 3-1 with Alder Scannell voting no.
Okay, thank you all. We are almost finished here. Discussion with possible action on a general ordinance number 1-19, an ordinance creating section 29.513, Green Bay Municipal Code relating to leaving keys in a vehicle, previously discussed at the January 7th, 2019 Protection and Policy Meeting.
Yes, so this was approved by the committee previously, but referred back at the last council meeting for further discussion. I'm not sure what the discussions were, what the hesitation.
Well, I think we'd like to look at the fine and reducing it, I don't know, 100, 75, 50? But we can have a discussion on that. Any thoughts on a number?
I haven't really come up with one.
Okay.
I was waiting for discussion.
Anybody else?
My thought was that the fine would go towards people that left their vehicle and the car was stolen.
So it'd be some of a service fee in a way? Okay, and if there'd be, so there, it's just for people who have their vehicle stolen, not for anybody who's,
Like if the keys were left in the car
Car.
and the car was stolen,
Mhm.
it should fall onto the car owner. You left your keys in there, and now we have the police department involved. That car owner should be responsible for the services that we provide.
Yeah. I can see, I believe there is some municipality that does it that way. They charge the towing if they end up with towing fee, which I think we would do anyway if we have to tow it. They get dinged on that, right?
It's my understanding that if we recover a towed vehicle, the department essentially eats the tow bill. That when we recover a stolen vehicle and tow it back to the police department because we're processing it as a stolen vehicle, it's, I guess, the cost of us doing business, bringing that car back to the PD. We don't push that cost on to the owner of the vehicle.
Yeah. My concern with that is, I'm concerned, well, I don't know. Not a service fee. If it was a fine, that they could then go to the city attorney and work out whatever needs to be done there. Because there are people who are not well endowed in their means, and maybe can do community service or whatever. So if we looked at it as a fine, that would be $50, $100? What are you thinking for, any idea?
I just got a couple of questions before we get into that.
Let's, Chief, I'd like, the Chief wants to speak, if we could.
What's wrong with you?
I'd like to do it.
Sure, Andrew Smith. The biggest complaint I got when we put this ordinance out there was that we would be victimizing the victims a second time.
Okay.
And everybody was concerned that, Chief, you just want to go and cite someone who's already had their car stolen and add insult to injury and make them pay a fine more. The other thought is, if we did say we're going to cite the victims, who, when they recover their car, if they reported that their keys were stolen, or if we find keys in it, they would say, my keys weren't in it, he must have broken my house, or he must have taken my key from somewhere, or got it out of my purse at the grocery store, or whatever. So the big concern I had, and the most calls I got in this whole thing, was that we would be penalizing the victims again. And I assured people that the intent wasn't to penalize the victims again, it was to prevent crimes like this from occurring. Just anecdotally, and I might not have sent it to all you, but we did the stats run again last week. We had 9 cars stolen in Green Bay. 5 of them had the keys in them when they were stolen so far this year. That's on top of 50 last year, 20 of which had the keys and were running at the same time. So it is a problem. It continues to be a problem, and I'm completely fine with whatever you guys decide as far as a fine or anything like that.
So Chief, I was going to ask, do you, this is on streets, public places, et cetera?
This would be on public streets, on roads, parked outside houses, not on person's personal property, but it would include private property open to the public, gas stations, little mini malls, things like that.
You know, I know you brought this forward a while back, and I was privy to a lot of this too, but I was just wondering, do you have any facts or figures on cars that are stolen out of driveways that are warming up? Do you have anything on that? I mean, that's private property,
Right.
but that's still a potential police call.
It is a potential police call, very likely.
Is there some kind of number?
I don't have it broken down between how many were stolen on private and how many were stolen on public property. I don't have those statistics.
Is that something that is readily available?
I could probably get that for the next meeting. In fact, I may have it on my computer if I dig back through it.
Well, I'm just saying, I think just for information's sake, I think it'd be good.
So, when the police department goes out for a theft vehicle, do you know the average cost?
Kind of, we figured it out between the initial report, somebody calls 911 for the operator's time, have an officer go out there, take a report, canvass the area and look for the vehicle, put the report in the system with our records unit, then check the area. If we find the vehicle, then recover the vehicle, do the paperwork for that, have the vehicle towed back to the station, process for pink fingerprints if that's what we need to do, and then release the owner. Ballpark, we figured it was about $500 in officer's time. That's each time a car gets stolen. So multiply that by the 110 cars that were stolen in Green Bay last year, gets to be a pretty steep statistic. In addition, the glide path, as Alder used to say, Sladek used to say, the glide path is gliding in the wrong direction. Auto theft is trending up in Green Bay, not down like most of our other crime. And my challenge will be, if this isn't a tool that we can use, then I intend to use it as a tool. I want our guys to be able to warn people, hey sir, I can't help but notice your keys are dangling in your ignition, your car's running as you're going into the little gas station here. Just a reminder that you can be cited for that. And that's what I hope our officers do, and use it as an education tool, which is kind of what is happening now with all the discussions that we've had about this. I hope that that's what this is a tool used for, not a tool to hammer people or to take money out of people's
Let's
pockets.
say if the ordinance wasn't in place though, that you'd still would tell people.
Well, we'd certainly be able to
Possibly.
warn them, but there's no teeth
But
behind
there's
it.
no teeth behind
Right.
it.
And in any kind of traffic situation, there's three things. There's engineering, there's enforcement, and there's education. The engineering is happening as we go along. More and more new cars are coming out. They don't function without the key fob in the car. So it's almost a self-solving problem, and maybe 2, 3, 5 years down the road, we won't be having this discussion because all the old cars will be, we'll have the new key fobs. There's education, which is what we're doing now, letting people know that, look, this is the problem, which is what our officers are going to be doing. But the enforcement part is also there. It's something that our officers can say, if I come and I see you doing this again, Mr. So-and-so, you're liable to get yourself a citation. Please do us all a favor. Just take your keys out of your car when you're not in it.
One quick question for you, Chief.
Sir.
On the tow part of it, you say the Green Bay Police Department's not paying for that tow part, are they?
The city is paying for the tow. The city pays to have the vehicle towed back to wherever it goes. So
My thought is that those costs, if you have your car stolen, if you left your keys, then I think the towing part of it should be put back on the owner.
I don't have a problem with that. I know other municipalities do that. The problem with doing it for just the people that had their keys in the car is they'll lie to us and they'll say the keys weren't in the car. I have no idea how the crook got those keys.
But regardless, you still had to tow that vehicle. Is that
Correct.
The towing, I think the towing fee should be put back on the owner of that vehicle. That's my thought. And that would help out bigger than a fine, I think, as far as the towing costs are, what, probably $100?
It's, I think, $25 a tow car.
$25. Okay.
So it's not,
But
that's
that's
contracted.
That's contracted through heavy duty, that is $25 to bring them from wherever back to our police department. If the regular public called,
That'd be more, okay then.
Right, we get a pretty good deal.
I gotta get a police rate.
Yeah. Leave your keys in your car sometime.
I'll be getting you.
I think if we look at this, or if you're looking to try, we could look at that portion of the towing costs would be,
Well,
have to be
I think
paid.
I think if we make it a $50 fine, we're covering everything, and we're simplifying it. And I don't know if we want to just single it out against people who've had their vehicles stolen. If you're leaving your keys in the car, let the police, because that's part of the process here. The whole purpose is to educate people and have a little something a little stick to go with it.
Right, it's like jaywalking, who gets hurt when somebody jaywalks? The jaywalker. But it's nice to be able to tell someone, hey, it's a fine if you do it, or if you fail to stop for someone in the crosswalk. It's a reminder, and that there's a little bit of teeth behind it. And my challenge to anybody would be, if not this, what? If this isn't gonna work, or we don't wanna do this, then give me another idea. If anybody's got a better idea about how we can knock vehicle theft down, one of the only crimes in Green Bay that's trending in the wrong direction, if you don't like this idea, let me know what a better idea is. I'll run with whatever's the best idea.
And you're saying you're getting how many a month so far this year? You've had 5?
5 were
With the
stolen
keys.
with the keys in them
keys.
during
9.
January. 9 total vehicle thefts, but that's up a tick from where it was last year again. And last year was up, I think 8%, 8.2% over where it was the year before. So it's trending in the wrong direction, which is worrisome for me. And it's one of the only crimes in Green Bay that's trending in the wrong direction.
Have you talked to other municipalities that have something like this in place and how it's worked for them?
Yep, I've talked to, well, our staff has talked to several. I talked to Eau Claire personally, and they said they've had it on the books for something like 50 years. It's very rarely used, and what they see is that it's decreasing. Their thefts are decreasing. They're trending in the right direction for them, and they attributed that to the fact that not only do they have this tool to use to warn people, but also the technology is changing so much, making it harder and harder to steal cars. Back in the old days, people would hotwire cars, and you'd see a wire going out of the trunk and coming in, and somebody would touch the two together. Then they'd smash the column on the GM products, or they'd use a screwdriver and break the ignition. That doesn't work on new cars or newer cars. And the newer cars, the best ones, are the ones that have a key fob that the car won't operate if your key's not in it. Has a remote start, push the button, you can warm your car up all day if that's what you want to do, without have to worry about it getting stolen.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do have Bear Bowl, oh, yep,
Somebody wanted to speak.
yep, someone wanted to speak. Let's make a motion, open the floor.
Motion, open the floor.
Thank you, I did almost forget.
Yeah, he raised his hand.
By Alder Stoyer, second by Alder Vanderleest, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. If you haven't filled out one of the sheets of paper, please
Yeah, I
fill that.
filled one out
Oh, you did?
already.
Okay, then,
Yeah, what I
please
was
state your name and
going to talk
address.
about is that issue with the
Yep,
ticketing park keys in the car and that.
yep, please state your name and address.
Beg your pardon?
State your name and address.
Lyle Wilkett, 1942 Zazie Avenue, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I didn't realize that was such an important issue for the police department to go around and make sure that keys aren't hanging in a car or a car isn't running. I think we're getting too many regulations that are getting into our private life, and I can't see the problem. I would think it is better to get the potheads and drunken drivers off the road, the ones who are running the stop and go lights, those not stopping at the lights and that, and the ticketing speeders, I think is a lot more important than if I leave my keys in my car, or if it's winter and it's cold, I'm going into the drugstore for 10 minutes, I want to leave it running to keep it warm. I shouldn't have to worry about being fined for that. And I just don't think it's, I don't know, they're sticking to too many things in our private lives that I don't think they should be put in. People ought to, I don't think people are that dumb that they know if they leave their keys in a car, there's a chance of getting it stolen. And if they don't care, why should we worry about it? Let them get the car, let them get paid a toll and get it back, whatever it costs, but that's their responsibility. I don't think it should be ours. So I don't think that's something that we should enact. Because like I say, I go to the drugstore, 10 minutes to go shopping, I gotta go look around things. I come out, and my car was running to keep warm, and I get a ticket. Well, I think there's, like I say, getting the potheads and drunken drivers and the speeders and all that off the road is a lot more important. And I didn't realize they had, police department had that much extra time to devote to key left in cars and cars running. So I don't think that's something that should be enacted. I would hope that you don't recommend that to the city council. I think it should stay like it is. And they say if I'm dumb enough to do that, that's my tough luck, not anybody else's. And I'll pay the consequences.
Good
Well,
question.
Mr. Zazie, thanks for coming in. Oh, no, you live on Zazie.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I tell you what, my wife
must
says
be
I
getting
can't hear,
tired.
and I think I can hear. I miss a lot of conversation
Yeah.
here.
Well, anyway, thanks for coming in. What's your take, though, and I understand where you're coming from, but what is your take on the fact that time and money is spent by the police department, once this happens? Do you feel that the owner should be liable, for towing and/or a citation, that it should be on them? With that being said, the issue is the amount of time that they spend on this type of crime, that they could be doing other things, like going after those people you were talking about. What's your thought on that?
I don't know. I would think that, like I say, I think there's a lot more important issues than their time. They're there, if a police officer is there for an 8-hour shift, what's the difference if he's doing this or he's doing that? He's on duty for the 8 hours, it's for this or that. He gets an emergency call, he runs, somebody gets a flat tire, parked car on the road, they're on duty for the 8-hour or whatever shift is. So there's a difference what they're doing. I don't think you should really have to worry about, like I say, too many things in our lives that I think it's our own business, and we should be responsible for our own actions and nobody else. And this is just, again, they want to keep everything hunky-dory and that, but the owner should be responsible. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Motion to close. Someone else?
Did you want to
Come up and speak.
Okay. Motion to close the floor.
You didn't want, you
Oh,
do?
I
want-
do. Oh, I
Yes,
thought-
yes, no, yep,
I've
please.
waited all this time.
Yeah.
You were-
Please state your name.
delirious.
My name is Terry Wolfgram. I'm at 725 South Roosevelt Street in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Thank you. I was wondering, could I just read the ordinance? Is that okay? Is
Yeah,
that all right with
sure, go ahead.
everybody? Okay. So it's section number 29513. Leaving the keys in a vehicle. No person having custody of a motor vehicle shall permit the vehicle to stand or remain unattended on any street, alley, public place in the city without first removing the keys used to lock or unlock the operating vehicle. This section shall not apply to emergency vehicles or city vehicles being used for city operations. Okay? So, Does this then pertain to UPS trucks? Does this pertain to other type of delivery trucks, those types of things? I'd ask that question. The other part of this is that I kind of feel like, I first heard about that and I thought, well, okay, what are other communities that are doing? Yes, and we had said that there was, municipalities in Eau Claire, I think Milwaukee, Madison. What is the data from that? Okay, what have they done, enacted? Has that decreased? We don't know that information. Has that prevented that? We really don't know that information. To me, I first read about that and I thought, okay, it's kind of punitive. I feel it is, because you're already missing your car. It's being stolen. Okay, so whether it's going to be found or not, you're out of car, and now you're going to be fined for not having, or for having your keys in your car. The other thing that hit me was that, gentlemen, the last week, we've had a 60-degree fluctuation in temperatures. Did any of you go out and leave your cars running? I mean, I did. I have a one-stall garage. I live in a older neighborhood. I don't have the luxury of two-stall garage, so luckily it started. But it's just that type of thing. Do I use it going in and leaving my car running at a convenience store? No, I don't do that. But in my driveway, okay? I know the ordinance says there, leaving it on any street. I'd be interested, Andrew, from information, how many vehicles were stolen in driveways? I think that would be the thing, is people are stealing in driveways. That's your own personal property. They're trespassing. And where should the fine go? The perpetrator. They're the one that committed the crime. I didn't. Okay, I left my vehicle running, because it was cold out there. And I, needed to get that warmed up. So anyways, that's my spiel. I've learned a lot tonight. I've learned a lot about drinking.
I'll drink to that.
And stuff like that. And it's just, there's a lot of stuff that came out tonight. It's, again, I don't want people to think, I don't want overreach, like the servers, and I felt that was kind of an overreach. Let the tavern owners kind of control things. Let them do that. And I just don't want, when we start losing our freedoms, I know it's a little thing, but it kind of is a scary process. And really, my car is my car. It would really suck if somebody stole it. I'd have to figure out how to get something else. Anyways, that's it, gentlemen.
Okay.
I was just going to ask real quick, when you warm your car up, usually it's in your driveway, correct, or in the garage?
Yep.
You don't normally leave it on the street?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's in the driveway.
Okay.
And again, the ordinance does not say driveway.
Yeah.
Right, so
Right.
you would not, it
would
would
that
Oh,
affect
I
you.
know that. I'm just
would that be
asking.
interpretation by the officer?
No.
That'd be clear. But, again, I work in social services too. We always tell our parents, not to leave your car running. Well, my child's in there, take the child in, we do that. Do they do that? No, they leave the car running with the kid in there, and it's, because they get them unwrapped and stuff like that. So, it's part of that thing. We want to make some social changes on people. It takes time. Look at how many people used to smoke. There's a lot less now. That's education.
And laws.
Yeah, it really is. It's mostly education though. I think it is. I mean, my cousins and aunts and uncles smoke and stuff, so it changes. All right, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Motion to close.
Well,
the
yeah,
floor.
anybody else? Anybody else? Motion
Motion
closed.
to close the floor.
Alder Steuer. Second by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Floor is now closed. I understand where people are coming from, but we are not talking about private property. We don't want to go on private property. We're not interested in that at all. And as far as being punitive, yes, that's the purpose. But the purpose isn't to go out and make money for the police department. Or, we hold people responsible all the time. If you don't buckle up your child, you can get fined. We hold people responsible for their behavior all the time. And so I think, and that would be quite a considerable fine, that one. This one, we're looking just to make a little something to help the police department, in a campaign of educating people. And I would really be even, to put like a 2-year sunset clause on this, ordinance, that if we set a fine for $50, $55, can't drive 55, $50, and the ordinance expires after 2 years, and at that time, we'll have data from our police department. We can go over that. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Who's been fined? Who hasn't, how much have they been paid? We can look at that and determine if this has any value or not. Hopefully, maybe in 2 years, we'll all be driving automated cars and the whole thing's mute. Next car I buy drives itself. So that's my motion, that we send this to staff with a $50 fine and a 2-year sunset. Is there a second?
I'd like to just weigh in before we
Sure.
actually make that motion.
Sure.
I understand this is a problem for the city, but I hate to penalize the patrons that do get their car taken. I think if we took the towing fee and put that, I think that'd be a good start. Put the towing fee, that they pay for the towing fee to get their car back. I know that the administrative costs are, a lot more than what we're talking about, the $50 or whatever it might be. But I would say if we charge them the towing fee, at least that would be a way to educate what's going on. And I got some feedback from different people in my district. Their thoughts was, well, that's the police's job. That was what, I got about 6 or 8 calls that said that, what are the police doing, and that's their job. But I think if we look at, just charging them, the people that do get their car stolen, say, well, you have to pay your towing fee, and whatever that towing fee is, you can set the towing fee.
Just so I'm clear, that would be for all the cars that are stolen, or just the ones that we determined the keys were in them at the time? they were
I would say
stolen?
that if a car is stolen, if you want to get your car back, you'd have to pay that towing fee. If you take your car to Chicago and it's stolen out of a parking ramp and they have it in a pounding lot, you'd have to pay to get that out at a pounding lot. Wherever they don't have enough space to keep the cars there in Chicago, so you'd pay for that fee to get your car back. I would be in favor of you just pay for the fee that. The towing fee, wherever you have to tow it. Maybe your lot gets full, you gotta tow it somewhere else. I would be in favor of just a towing fee and start out there, and people would get education that way as well, and they wouldn't feel so, let's say, double indemnity, as you'd say it. They get hit for their car being stolen, maybe their car's wrecked. I had a car stolen once out of my yard years ago, and I was without a car for about 5 days. It was kind of tough. I was young, so it didn't make too much difference. But I'm just saying, I know what it is to have a car stolen. And I would be in favor of the towing fee, that they pay the towing fee, and that would be a tool of education to get out in the community. And we wouldn't be saying, well, we're going to fine you. I think that, I think the Green Bay Police Department does a good job as far as, community output. You had the horses there for a while that, people are, more willing to talk with the police and, make, interaction. And I think this might be just a good tool to just charge them the towing fee and say, gee, you're sorry your car got stolen or whatever. That's my thoughts. That's how I'm proposing it. But, I mean, I just got
Are we
different.
speaking on your motion right now?
Well, we can have some discussion
I mean,
on this now. I oppose that idea for a couple reasons. One is we're not only talking about all cars now, and I think there's going to be a much bigger uproar about someone who went to bed and somebody broke in and I don't know if they can help, whatever it takes to get the car going again and steals the car. I mean, they're completely innocent. Then you're really dinging the victim of a crime, someone who's not careless. The purpose of this is this can be considered careless behavior, and for 2 years, we're going to say, in an effort to try and educate people to say, this is careless, our people have been stealing cars, it's on the rise, this is a concern, you have a better chance because of people being aware of this and stealing cars of is happening to you. And so we put a $50 fine value on it, that, and not just for those who've had their car stolen, but for anybody, the police, if they pull in to get gas and they see somebody's with their key in there, they can warn them. That's part of the purpose here of, it's not just stolen vehicles, it's anybody who leaves their key. And I don't think the police are gonna be out there trolling, looking for vehicles with dangling keys. It's gonna be catch as catch can as you're going through your regular duties. And I don't think the purpose is to, punish people, it's to inform people, and you need a little something behind it to get their attention.
I got a quick question. The chief, maybe you could answer this. So, I'm losing my train here.
Here comes the caboose.
Oh, boy. So, okay, let's say there's a $50 fine out there. If you're talking about education, so you're saying that, your officers would come in and tell somebody, okay, in effect, it's almost a warning, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if you get one warning, if you do it twice, then you would get a citation? Would that be like a normal type police activity?
This idea was actually hatched by a couple of our community policing officers, who I think they had issues in their neighborhood where they would see the same cars running over and over again, and just waiting for someone to steal it. And they would warn people and didn't seem to have any effect on people. They just really didn't seem to care. So I think the idea is they wanted to have at least a little bit of teeth to say, hey, Mr. Jones, I've warned you 2 or 3 times about your car being on the street, and you're still doing it. There's kids in the neighborhood walking to school. It's a really big temptation. And think about that. If you're warming your car up in the morning, out on the street, and little kids are walking by, or adolescents, or kids that are in the crime-prone years, and they take your car, what are they going to do with it? They're going to hot rod it around. They're going to, they're not licensed. They're probably not great drivers, and we all heard the expression, drive it like you stole it. They're not going to be out there obeying all laws and doing things we would do as regular drivers. So it's like, I've likened it to leaving a loaded weapon on your front porch. Do you leave a firearm on your front porch? I think it's kind of the same thing. Do you leave your wallet on your front porch? Yes, it's illegal to steal it. Yes, there's a fine if you do steal it, and if we catch you, you go to jail. But why tempt fate? Why allow your car or that firearm on your front porch or your wallet in your on your driveway? Why would we tempt thieves and give them this opportunity? And the opportunity they took 50 times in our city last year. 48% of the cars stolen had their keys in them. If you got a better idea to get people to stop getting their car stolen, cut car theft in half by just taking your keys out of the car. Holy smokes, if you could tell me I could cut domestic violence in half in this city by just one thing, holy smokes, man. I think we'd all get, bronze busts of us in front of the police station.
Well, I like the fact, you said there's other communities out there that you've done studies on.
Sure.
And I think part of, my request was to find out how many privately, cars and driveways are taken, that type of thing.
And I have that, I can shoot you that
We're looking at this
info.
ordinance right now, but I would feel more comfortable if we had a little more of that information. So I think part of me, even though I agree in essence with a majority of this, I still don't feel comfortable voting for it at this time.
Well, we could refer it to staff to make the changes, comes back, we can come back with that information and make a decision then.
I would feel better about that.
No?
So just to have more, I would make a motion that this would be referred back to staff with some of those concerns that we talked about. I don't know if you need those in.
I already made that motion.
You did.
I needed a second.
Okay. Oh, you made that motion? Okay.
I believe I did.
And
Was
the
it-
motion to include, so.
Well-
$50 fine,
Well, see, I didn't- that
2-year
wasn't mine.
sunset.
That
Reduce
wasn't
the
mine.
fine to $50 and to provide a 2-year sunset clause,
Okay.
and for
Make
staff.
these changes, put it in the,
I didn't-
and they come back,
Staff to
and then we
provide-
decide.
Right, I don't mind it going back to staff, but with the $50, of course, we could say, no, that will work or not work.
Right.
I mean, you're just saying you're putting it in there.
Right.
I don't necessarily fully agree with that at this moment.
Right.
But if it goes back to staff, they can talk
Right.
about that.
Yep. When it comes back, we can kill it, we can make any other changes that we decide to do in the meantime. This is just to get something, send it to staff to get something else in front of us.
I'd like to hear what the rest of the,
Send it to staff and get the information you want.
Right, I'm not so sure I'm keen on the fine. I know that's part of what you think is important to be brought forward, the fine. I think it's all, like I said, double indemnity already. You know, they're losing their car, so having it stolen. I like Alder Vanderleest's talk about, you know, paying for the towing. I think that puts the onus on them. That would be the penalty, I think. You know, you lost your car, but you know what, in order to get it back, you gotta be accountable and responsible. So
Okay,
I feel that's important as well.
Right, the problem with that is, are you gonna do it straight across the board with everybody who had their car stolen? If you're not,
No.
then it's easy for someone to say, my keys were not left in the car. They must have stolen my keys somehow. How do you prove that? You're just making the work complicated. Simplify this with a $50 fine.
I'd just like to weigh in here, Randy, on that towing
But we
fee.
can-
No, let
Chief
I'm
Smith.
back off right.
Okay, Chief Smith, regardless, you still have to pay that towing fee, is that correct?
We still have to pay that towing fee. That's taxpayer money.
Yep.
The money for the towing fee and the money for the cops and the money for the processing of the car comes not from me, it comes from us.
Okay.
So when your car gets stolen, you cost the city $500. You cost your fellow taxpayers $500. That's why I'd love to cut this crime down in half. Holy man.
I would say that if we went with right across the board, as far as your car is stolen, regardless where it's stolen, and the Green Bay Police Department has to pay for the towing, that's your fine right there. If it costs $100, if the fee goes up for towing, they pay more. In other words, the penalty is regulated on the towing fees that's related to your vehicle if it's stolen, regardless if it's stolen out of your rear garage or your front garage or on the street or anywhere. In other words, the Green Bay Police Department still has to pay that towing. My thoughts would be in order to get their car back, they gotta pay those towing fees. And that would be another penalty, basically, that they would incur regardless how it's stolen. And
Right.
it would generate more revenue than just the 5 or 10 that are coming in. If you got 20 cars stolen, they're all gonna pay for that towing fee. I know in Chicago, if your car is stolen, it goes to an impounding lot. And in order to get that car out, you might pay $200 or $300
Easily.
for the towing.
Right. But my only, and we'll do whatever you guys decide, because that's what you guys get to do. The only thing that people have been shooting darts at me about is we're penalizing the victims. And so that's the big gripe that everybody says, is you're penalizing the victims a second time. They got their car stolen, even if it's through no fault of theirs, and now you're gonna penalize them again. That's the feedback I've been getting.
And paying for the towing fee is not penalizing anybody. It's they're getting their car back.
Well, that's a penalty.
Yeah, that's the best. My thoughts. That's the way I'd want to do it. If you're gonna write it up, anybody's car that's stolen, they pay for that towing fee.
First of all, we're changing the focus of this. We're going completely off the focus of trying to be an education.
It's covering. It's a broader perspective as far as if your car's stolen, you got to pay for your towing fees to get your car back. Simple as that.
Right, and then we are definitely hitting up people who are victims and not necessarily through their own carelessness. And so I oppose that from that standpoint. And the police pick up costs all the time for various things. You're looking at it as a way to cover police costs. That's not what the
this
purpose.
isn't going to cover the police costs because you're not making any money on this, are you, Chief?
No, sir.
Not a penny.
Not a,
So if you want your car back, you got to pay for the towing fees. That's as simple as.
I think what Chief brought up before though too is, okay, so if you did the towing thing, you lost your car, plus you have to pay for the tow, and you also get a fine. That's like, it seems like.
Well,
That's 3 hits.
It's 3 hits.
I think he's saying no fine.
Right,
Oh,
I know that,
fine,
but I'm
just
just
pay the
saying,
towing.
the way we were talking before, it was like, you could have 3 different elements. You could conceivably.
Right, but I don't
Right,
support.
so my feeling is, I would really like to refer this back to staff, and you already mentioned that, but I think the fact is, you were talking about a $50 fine, and I tend to lean toward what Alder Vanderleest has said about the fun, you lose your car, to get it back, for accountability and responsibility's sake for that person, they need to pay that to get their car back. And to me, that would be a legitimate fine, to me.
To me.
So,
Go
and
ahead.
I know we differ.
Right, and I'm going to tell you why I differ. You're penalizing victims, and that's not what the intent here is. This intent, I mean, someone may not even get a fine, they just might get warnings. The purpose here is to use this as an education tool. We're looking at it now as a generating tool, as a punishing tool.
And that's good, that's fine and dandy, but once your car is stolen, then the education part's over, you know, it's already happened.
But then there's nothing for those who haven't had their car stolen. We're trying to get more than just people who have lost their car. We're trying to get everybody who leaves their keys in their car. That's the target area, not just people who've had their, and now instead of, you're gonna leave out all those who carelessly leave their keys in their car, they got no consequence whatsoever, and you're gonna start punishing those who are complete victims, who had their car in their garage and it somehow got stolen. I mean, you're turning complete innocent victims, not people who have been careless, into getting dinged twice. I oppose that completely. I think we want to stay focused on, this is about people leaving keys in their cars. That's the focus of
You made your motion, so restate the motion again.
to send this back to staff with a $50 fine and a 2-year sunset clause, and come back with us, and we can make any changes we want then. Is there a second? Second by Alder Stevens. Any other discussion? If we want to change, if, you know, you want to, I think we need to hear from the public on this. I think you're going to hear a lot of blowback from people who are saying, my key got stolen out of my garage, and you're going to fine me for, and you're going to make me pay towing for that?
The towing fee is not a fine.
It's not a fine, but it's
The towing fee is related to the towing.
Right.
To get the car back to the police department.
Right.
And that's a legitimate cost that.
That is a completely new cost that no one has paid, and you're putting it on them for no purpose.
The purpose is to get their car back.
Which is not what we're doing here. We're not concerned about the we're not concerned about the towing. We're concerned about dangling keys.
Okay,
That's the focus.
If we're concerned about dangling keys, then we have to get a public message out through the internet, through radio, through news media.
Through the llama.
And that would be your best tool to get it out to the public is be interaction as far as the news media.
Sir, in my defense, my face literally blew talking about this for the past couple of years. I've been in news media, I've talked to the newspapers, we papered neighborhoods. We even went as a department years ago around and put notes on people's cars. Hey buddy, you left your car door open, and by the way, your keys are in there. And they discontinued that just before I got here because it was like a flag for somebody to come and steal the car because the keys were in it. So we've papered neighborhoods, we've went on social media, Facebook, we've nixled things out, my face is literally blue, and what hair I had left when I got here is gone because I've been pulling it out, trying to get people to take the damn keys out of their car.
All right. Well, my thought is still that the towing fees, you know, if they want to get their car back, they pay the towing fees.
Well,
See what the city of Chicago, how they do it. I'd like to, if we could check into that. And as far as, you know, if a car is stolen, doesn't matter if it's stolen. Somebody stole that vehicle. And it comes right down to is the Green Bay Police Department going to recover, if they're going to recover that vehicle, they have to tow it. So if you want to get your car back, you got to pay your towing fees. That's not unreasonable. When we say we're going to slam you $50 for, or $25 for a fine, people are going to be talking about that. They'll say, oh yeah, that's really nice. Now we got, and other people have talked to me about saying, you know, we got a wheel tax now as well. And people that are living in apartments, you think they want to pay a wheel tax? They don't care about the roads.
Well, let's stay on
But I'm just saying, in other words, it's going from one to the next to the next. I would say if you want to get your car back, if it's stolen, you'd be happy to pay that towing fee back. And it's not going to be a fine, it's going to be a tow. You get your towing fee. You got that's just cost that, we're not hitting them with all the administrative costs and all the time that you're spending. But if your car is stolen, you have to pay the towing fee to get it back. Is that any simpler?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's completely different from what the agenda item is.
I know, regardless.
One other point I wanted to make too is say, when you leave keys in the car, you could look at the overall situation and say, okay, out of that 100 times, maybe the cars were stolen 4 times, 6 times, you know, there's probably no facts or figures on that as well.
There is 108 cars stolen last year, 50 of them had the keys in them, 50.
Okay.
So 48% of the, 48.2% of the cars had their keys.
You might have
in
mentioned
them.
that already.
That's a big chunk, that's.
Well, I mean, Randy, you want to refer this back to staff. I'm not necessarily for the $50, but I think if it goes back I feel if it goes back to staff and they
I
talk
have a
about that, we
question.
can deal with that. What's that?
Out of those 50 vehicles that were stolen with the keys, how many were recovered?
We recover almost all the vehicles. Interestingly enough, of those 50 that were stolen, 20 of them were running at the time they were stolen. The rest of them just had the keys down in the ashtray or, on the seat or something like that. We recover almost all the vehicles here. Most of the vehicles, virtually all the vehicles in Green Bay that get stolen are stolen and driven for a short period of time and then dumped, and we find them sometime later. We don't have a lot of chop shops. We don't have people that put them in shipping containers and send them off to the Middle East. They're all recovered here, usually in Green Bay or sometimes down in Milwaukee and other bigger cities.
Would you like a roll call vote on this?
Yeah.
Are you against sending it back?
I'll just be nay on that one, on sending it back.
Okay, yep.
All right, vote started.
So what's the yes vote again? I don't know.
To refer back.
To refer back to staff.
One quick comment.
Motion to refer staff.
Motion to open the floor.
By Alder Stoyer,
Second.
second by Alder Vanderleest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you please step
Yeah,
up.
he
Name
said
and
I want
address.
to ask the officers, you've been in law enforcement over how long? Have you changed the responsibility of people, their attitudes, that are irresponsible?
But please
How are
address,
you going to do that you're not?
please
gonna
address
do
the
it?
chair. Please address
Oh,
the
I'm
chair.
Yeah,
sorry.
we gotta.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what are you going to do to the irresponsible? He's been in law enforcement that long, he's not going to change it. If you're irresponsible, you're going to be irresponsible. Law isn't going to change that. So what can you do, It's just like I said, I think they're getting too much of their private lives, and these guys are out 8 hours a day working. What's the difference what they're doing? And like he said, pay the towing if you want it back. What about all the vehicles, the mailmen and the truck drivers that are leaving the trucks running? Does this cover them? You're favoring some people and others not. Just, I don't know if it's a fair thing, I know he wants to do his job, get the crime in that, but your responsibility, you're not gonna change. Thank you.
Yep.
Motion to close.
Motion support for Alder Stoyer. Second by Alder Stevens. All in favor? Aye. How many vehicles, UPS and FedEx, how many of those vehicles have been stolen?
They don't get stolen, but UPS, at least where I used to watch UPS guys, they had a routine where they would take their key, put it on one of their fingers, and they would do their business. They wouldn't leave their cars running. I imagine it would be up to the employer to make sure. But boy, a stolen UPS truck could be a big loss for the UPS folks.
Yeah, I'm not sure they leave them running.
Yeah.
Same with post office. I don't think they
I'd be
leave them.
surprised if they do.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I mean, I've seen them pull up in front of my house and they'll just run up and come back. They're right there, so it's not like they're leaving the sight of the vehicle as much.
I don't even know if they leave it running then.
We can check on that. I've got some crack staff that'll find some
Well,
answers
hey.
to that for us.
Let's vote.
All right. So the motion? Oh, yeah.
Okay, that passed 3-1 with Alder Vanderleest voting no.
Okay, liquor violation report from the police department for January 28, 2019.
We had 5 liquor violations. They included allowing underage on a licensed premise, serving the underage person and bartender didn't have a license. We had another bar without a license and then cited for open after hours. So we had 5 this past.
2 bartenders without licenses?
Yes. At different establishments.
Wow, that's kind of
Is that a random?
unusual, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was, at this establishment, we cited the bartender for not having a license, and then we did some research, and then we went back inside the owner of the bar because he knew the bartender didn't have a license, so was cited for allowing an unlicensed bartender to be there. So that's why there's 2.
Now, are they given a fine, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, they're given a fine. Their court cases are coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. How did they happen to, can I ask you how they happened to find this out, or?
For the unlicensed bartender, I would have to ask the community police, they were dealing with it, the west side. Do you remember, Jason?
We received a complaint that someone called in and said that their underage grandson got into an accident and was arrested for OWI and was being served at this bar regularly by a bartender, knowing that he was underage. When we looked into it, we found out the bartender who served the underage person who got into the accident and got arrested for OWI did not have a license. And then we interviewed the owner and realized that the owner knew that she didn't have a license, so then the owner got a citation.
In other words, there was a trail of events that led to this situation.
We just didn't randomly show up and
Okay.
it was, we were called upon.
Can we ask what the place was? Good job. Can we ask, or is that not allowed?
I believe it was in the packet or the letter.
It's in the
Yeah,
packet.
it's in the
Okay, I
packet.
didn't-
Check your packet, yep. Anything else?
Was the Brown County Tavern legal over there?
No, it's fine. Right now, it's down right now.
Motion to place on
I would
file.
stay for the end.
They may not be
I'll
in the
second.
league.
I'll
They may not be
second.
in the league. Anything else then? We're all good?
No, we're good.
Thank you, sir. Motion to adjourn, all
No,
those.
receive and place on file. He said that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I
Receive and
second
place
it.
on file.
I second it.
By Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Steuer. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Oh, we got a vote.
One second.
No, we don't.
No, we don't?
We
Okay.
did it unanimous.
Do we?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, when it's
Fingertips,
unanimous, I just mark it
fingertips.
all as yes.
I didn't eat yet.
We are now on adjournment.
Motion to adjourn by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Steuer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.
Yippee.
We can't log out yet, so we gotta wait for her to let us leave the meeting.
No, better
Yes.
not be.
Okay, we sent the city on the 11th.
Can we leave the